What's up, gamers? We're hacking back with more Higurashi. Where last time we broke into a sacred place. We broke into a freaking sacred place, and now we're probably gonna we're gonna get it. We're definitely gonna get it. Honestly. Yippee! Oh, thank you, Ace, for the resub. I know, that's insane. That's actually insane. Considering I think you were one of my, if not the first sub. Crazy. Muted? No muted. What? Wait. Can I be heard? Can I be heard? Am I muted? I'm not muted, right? I don't feel like I'm muted. The stats say I'm not muted. So I'm gonna assume I'm not muted. Not muted. Okay, go. We're just gonna continue where we left off. Yeah. What do you think? Yeah, it's me. Yeah, crazy. Chapter 5, Maekashi. I think we're like halfway? I always say I think we're halfway, but half the time, turns out I'm not halfway. But we're gonna see what crazy antics happen, huh? My relatives gathered at the Sonozaki house after the festival to have a little party. Right, oh my gosh. And what horrible things have occurred, huh? Eventually you're going to be right. What do you mean? Yeah, that's true. Yeah, eventually. If not, I already passed, but... I mingled with my uncles and had fun. I was trying to get rid of my eerie memories of that ritual storehouse. Mion was acting as the successor, so I tried to stay away from her. I'm sure she would feel weird if I talked to her in a formal way. No, I don't think she'd feel weird at all, actually. She might like being referred to as the freaking successor, honestly. But, based on how she acts. In consideration of the hag's old age, we ended the party around 11 p.m. We all helped to clean up, with the women washing the dishes in the kitchen, and the men folding the tables and putting them away in the storeroom. It only took about 30 minutes, then everyone left one after another. By then, Mion was no longer acting as the Sonozaki successor, and was back to being her normal self. Maybe I drank too much. I was lying on the tatami floor. I was like, hey, you know what I did? You know what I did a couple hours ago? Oh my gosh. Kasai asked me if I could get in the car, so I told him I'd barf if I got in now. Sis, can I spend the night here? I just want to sleep. Granny will get mad if she finds you. By the way, don't you have school tomorrow, Shion? No, tomorrow is our school's anniversary, so there's no class. What the? School's anniversary, so there's... okay. No, alright. How many times a year does your school have its anniversary? Yeah, okay, that's what I thought. She's just freaking making something up. Oh well. Okay, Kasai-san. She can stay here tonight. Understood. Good night. Dude, she's gonna get murdered. Shion's actually gonna get freaking murdered if she stays here tonight. They find out and... oh god. Come on, Shion, wake up. Granny will get real mad if you fall asleep here. Here, hold on to me. You can sleep in my room. I was left alone all of a sudden, in this late night. My alter ego told me that I'm in a demon's stomach. I shouldn't have woken up if I had heard that voice. Might not have woken up at all. I wouldn't have woken up if I hadn't heard that voice. From Shion's notebook, I think. Right? Or is the notebook Satoshi's? I didn't remember much after that. I was probably brought to Mion's room and immediately crawled into the futon. After a while, Mion got her futon ready next to me, turned the lights off, and went to sleep. At least, that's what I thought. Got up and turned the lights on. Mion's futon was empty. Futon felt cold. Mion must have left it a while ago. Did she go to the bathroom? No, the closest bathroom was right there down the hallway. The light in the bathroom was off. Where did she go? The ticking of the clock was loud and annoying in this quiet. The hands pointed to a little before 3 a.m. I was left alone all of a sudden, in this late night. I felt the eeriness of the ritual storehouse coming back to me, despite drinking it away with alcohol earlier. I tried to sense my surroundings. In this house, there shouldn't be an eerie atmosphere, strange noises, or footsteps. I stepped out into the freezing cold hallway to look for Mion. When I did, I immediately noticed light coming from one of the nearby rooms. The room belonged to the hag. The hag went to sleep early and woke up early. She was very strict about her bedtime, so it was strange to see her light on in the middle of the night. Yeah, the voices. If you break into a ritual storehouse, you're gonna get the voices. I could hear voices, yeah. I could hear, no, these were real voices though, here. I could hear voices too. The voices belonged to the hag and Mion. Creeped up to the room and listened to their conversation. Since it was the middle of the night, I could hear their words very clearly. But you know, those young ones went too far. You're right. They made Yashiro-sama angry, so I guess they got what they deserved. Mion's voice sounded as cold as the one I'd heard down in the torture room. I held my breath. The police say that they are investigating, but are you sure? I guess. It's probably Takano-san. My heart almost stopped. Ah, okay. Yashiro-sama got angry. Police are investigating. It's probably Takano-san. What day was it today? Those words told me something was happening. My teeth started to chatter. I desperately tried to stop them. Felt like my body was swelling up suddenly. I could no longer hear as well. Calm down. Breathe. Listen more carefully. According to Mion and the hag's conversation, another incident definitely took place. The victims were Takano-san and Tomitake-san. From what I could tell, both Mion and the hag thought it made sense that whatever it was happened to them. No. I needed to think more calmly. They did say they deserved it for making Oyashiro-sama angry. Did they say Takano-san and Tomitake-san made Oyashiro-sama angry? How did they make Oyashiro-sama angry? They knew. My body started to shake. They knew we snuck into the ritual storehouse. Then that would mean Keiji and I were also subject to Oyashiro-sama's curse. Suddenly a phone rang. Phone was by the front door. Front door was opposite the hag's room, farther down the hall. The ringing echoed throughout the long hallway. It sounded so eerie, almost like it was coming from hell. That was when I felt someone behind me. Of course, there was nobody there when I turned around, but there was someone there a moment ago. I didn't know if it was Satoshi-kun. I didn't sense any emotions, so I couldn't tell. Right, she's been freaking not even hallucinating, just feeling the presence of quote-unquote Satoshi-kun, which it's not, obviously. It's freaking not Satoshi, but she thinks it is. Also, I didn't know how long it had been. I didn't know how long it had been there. It was as if somebody was watching me listen in on their conversation. That was the feeling I got. It couldn't be Satoshi-kun. Satoshi-kun would never be that intimidating or scary. My mind turned all red, like it was stuffed with suffused. Suffused! I've never read that word. Suffused with blood. Have you experienced anything like that? Those footsteps always followed me. They even came to my bedside and looked down at me. Remembered what Ren Ryugu had said on that rainy day. Right. You'll be okay if that's true. Yashiro-sama won't get mad at you. If Yashiro-sama wasn't angry, nobody would follow me. So what did this mean? Ever since we snuck into the shrine storage, something has been following me? What is it? Calm down. Calm down. That's right. Rena wasn't talking about me. She was talking about Satoshi-kun. That's what happened to Satoshi-kun. Everything he's going through is a sign of Yashiro-sama's curse. That's right. That's why he encountered the curse of Yashiro-sama. You feel someone is watching from a distance, and it follows you. A creepy feeling crawled up and spread across my back. Then it watches from right behind you. After that, you start hearing an extra footstep. swallowed loudly. It's almost as though Ryugu was predicting that it would happen to me. Had I not been talking about Satoshi-kun back then? Had she actually been talking about me? But you start hearing it even inside your house after a while. Then, Yashiro-sama keeps watching you even when you're sleeping in the dark. Right by your side, waiting silently. I knew by now there was no mistake. No matter how I looked at it, she had been talking about me. Yes, me. It had been about me. The curse of Yashiro-sama. What is the curse of Yashiro-sama? It's when I actually felt something for real. Someone grabbed my collar. Ah! No voice came out. Well, what was the ah then, if no voice came out? I wanted to scream, but all I could do was open and close my mouth, as if something was stuck in my throat. It was Mion. Yeah, I mean, the phone rang. You think they're gonna come out of the room? You probably should have gotten out of the way or hid somewhere. But, alright. It was Mion. She looked even colder now than she'd looked in the underground torture room. It only made sense that she'd come out into the hallway to answer the phone. I know! How freaking dumb are you, Shion? God. I guess she's spooked. Okay, she's spooked. But still. I tried to come up with an excuse. However, the way Mion looked at me was so cold. Even if I really had run into her by accident, I could tell by the look in her eyes that she wouldn't believe me. Felt cold sweat all over my body. Couldn't even move my fingers. Sorry. I apologized. Could have said something to get myself out of the situation, but the apology came out first. But Mion didn't appear to hear me. She walked to the front door, still holding my collar. The phone was still ringing. A normal person doesn't usually let a phone ring so long at this time of night. The phone call itself didn't seem real to me. Mion picked up the phone. This is Mion. I see. I understand. Please take care of things at your end. Also, please make sure nobody talks about this. Yes. Goodbye. Mion put down the phone after a short conversation. What does she mean? Make sure nobody talks about this. Who called anyway? Mion put her forehead to mine and spoke to me. Did you hear? Which conversation was she asking me about? Well, she had to be talking about the one with the hag. If I say yes, what would happen to me? I don't know what you're talking about. Oh, God. Shion, you can't really play dumb with Mion. Mion pulled my collar, pressed her nose on mine, and continued to speak. Just what you heard. The curse of Yashiro-sama fell upon Tomitake-san and Takano-san. It's really very unfortunate. It's like I was talking to myself in a mirror. But what I was saying in the mirror was... Oh, did stream die? What? Oh god, back? We back? We so back? I didn't see any problem on my end. But... weird. Very weird. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe it wasn't just on your end. Maybe it was real. Yeah, now I see that now I see it. Now I see it. Yeah, what a good random cat gif for this spooky time of Mion actually going to kill Shion. Yeah, that's great. That's great, isn't it? Well... Meepa. Yeah. Discord sent me a stream notif. Yeah, I guess it did die, huh? Well... it's back now, so... that's the good part. Texas has been very stupid lately in every capacity. Water pressure, awful. Electricity, awful. Internet connection, pretty bad. So, hopefully it'll solve itself when it gets colder. And then we'll have the opposite problem where it's too cold and all the problems. Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. It probably won't happen again, right? Yeah, it'll be fine. But, yeah. Yeah, it's probably gonna get as cold as last time. I'm not looking... well, I'm kind of looking forward to it. I just hope the power doesn't go out for a week, but, you know. But yeah. Shion was like, what is the curse? And Mion was like, oh, don't you see there could only be one reason? Yeah. Oh my gosh. Stream is dying, isn't it? I see it. I see the statistics. This is so odd. What the heck is happening? I blame Mion.
Huh?
Yeah. Why is Mion doing this? Why? Everyone, we need to pray to Yashiro-sama so this stops. Texas hates Twitch. Yeah, true. Texas hates a lot of things. Twitch is one of them, I guess. Yeah, it says I have the dropped frames. Wee. Well, is it tolerable, or should we just end it? Is it tolerable? Is it all right? Or because it says it's getting less, but I don't know how reliable it's going to be. Her spooky energy is too great. I know. It really is. It's all right. It's aight. All right. I can take that. It's aight. All right. Okay. So yeah. Please don't talk as if I already know the answer. What do you mean? My heart was pounding. I felt that my next breath would be so bloody and hot I'd choke on it. Don't you know? It's because they made Yashiro-sama angry. First year was the manager of the dam construction site. Second year was the traitors to the village. Third year was the pacifists. Fourth year was the relatives of the traitors. I'd always thought the victims were people who had something to do with the dam conflict. Since I didn't do anything against the village during the dam conflict, I assumed I was safe. I should have known. Should have known everything would be the curse of Yashiro-sama. I knew Yashiro-sama's anger was the curse of Yashiro-sama. I knew Yashiro-sama would get angry if I snuck into the ritual storehouse. Since I wasn't held responsible in any way for the dam conflict, I never thought I'd be a victim of the curse. Did I ever think there would be an incident in the 5th year? Did I ever think that I'd be the victim of that 5th year incident? Tomitaka-san snuck into the storehouse, and he clawed at his own throat until he died. Takano-san was burned to death in an oil drum. Seemed like a lie. It must be a lie. It couldn't be true. Even if it was forbidden, it was just a space for storing some old torture implements. How could they be killed for just sneaking in there? Especially in such gruesome ways. I thought about it again and realized those people were absolutely capable of doing things like that. The main Sonozaki family was capable of it. Sonozaki family had been pulling the strings behind the series of mysterious deaths. They could do it. The Sonozaki family even kidnapped the grandson of the Minister of Construction during the dam conflict. They could do it. The Sonozaki family made Satoshi-kun disappear completely. They could do it. I like how she talks about the Sonozaki family as if she's not a part of it. Ah! Ah! Mion leaned against me before falling onto the cold hallway floor. She collapsed rather violently. I usually didn't go to sleep with my stun gun. I was too drunk to get ready for bed. I still had it on me. Oh my god, she freaking stunned her sister. Oh, wow, okay. I had my stun gun on me. I finally understood. I didn't know who killed them exactly. Whose idea what it was or who ordered it. I didn't even know who was actually involved. But Mion and the hag knew everything. Satoshi-kun. Now I finally know. Now I know what I need to do. Oh, no way. Oh my god. Oh my god. This is like in chapter 3 when Keiichi like flipped his switch and was like, I know what I need to do. And just murdered the uncle. I'll settle the score for you, Satoshi-kun. We'll avenge you, Satoshi-kun. I won't be killed like you, Satoshi-kun. Walked into the hag's room. Oh my god. She was sitting up to take some medicine. Her back was turned to me. Mion and I are twins. If I acted like her, the hag wouldn't notice the difference. I feel like she would. She would notice. I didn't think she'd ever suspected me. Put my stun gun to her neck and pulled the trigger. Heard an indescribable electrical sound, and the hag's lights went out. She fell in a twisted position. I didn't know how long it would take for a person to regain their freedom of movement after getting knocked out with a stun gun, so I had to restrain them before they woke back up. I was unbelievably calm. That's what resolve and numbness does to you. The key to the underground torture room was in the forbidden drawer that only the head of the family can access. Miyun told me about this once. I never looked for the drawer before, but I found it exactly where I thought it would be. The key was on the keychain with several of its sisters. They each had a little plaque on it that said what it was used for. They were all in Miyun's handwriting. She was an idiot for being so conscientious. Conscientious. Yeah. But it sure helped me out. Put the keychain in my pocket and headed to the outdoor storeroom to find a cart. Found a large flashlight there as well. There was a strap on the flashlight so I could put it on my shoulder. That way I'd have both hands free to carry Miyun and the hag. I loaded Miyun and then our grandmother onto the cart and carried them to the underground torture room. Straight up, she's just gonna murder both of them, I guess, huh? I guess. Like that. Imagine after she does all this and it's after she comes back and he's like, hey, I just went for a really long vacation. Oh my god. I was prepared to use the stun gun again if they woke up while I was working. It was more powerful than I imagined, and the hag showed no signs of waking. Maybe she's already dead. This was the stun gun Kasai specifically ordered for me when I told him I wanted a powerful one. Remembered him telling me that it was an illegally modified stun gun, that I should never use it just for fun. I used my flashlight to find the light switch. Found it easily, and turned it on. All the lights went on in the basement. Although there was no illumination, it was very dim. Moved quickly, so as to finish what I needed to do before they woke up. I decided to put Miyun in a cell beyond the torture room. The lights in the torture room were so bright that it was like daylight.
Good.
Thank you for the follow! Oh, how do I say your name? Iyuri Dolly? Iyuri Dolly BT. Thank you! Welcome to the insanity of Shion actually murdering her sister and grandmother. Yep. So the title is right, and I was right. 2 people are dying today. Straight up. There was a door there. I was fairly certain the cells were on the other side of that door. The proper key was here. Keys made a tinkling sound. I felt cold air coming through the gap in the door. There must be a huge opening on the other side. I opened the door and saw nothing but darkness. I felt along the wall to find a light switch. I turned the light switch on, and the light bulbs lit up, revealing a huge rocky cave. It didn't look like a natural cave. It looked more like an air raid shelter. There were several hollow openings with bars across them. Those were the cells. I walked up to the closest cell and checked to see if it was strong enough to confine her. I pushed and pulled on the bars. I ran against them with all my weight and decided they were perfectly sturdy, so secure enough to be called a cell. I opened the lock and carried Miyun in. It wasn't particularly strong, just average. I never thought I was strong enough to carry a whole person, but now I didn't need to pretend to be weak. I could easily lift and drag their bodies. Put Miyun in the cell. She seemed to moan a little. I didn't need to check to make sure. The effect of my stun gun was wearing off. I closed the bars and turned the key in the lock. Then I ran to the hag, who must have been starting to wake up too. Fortunately, there was no sign of her regaining consciousness. Maybe the difference in age had something to do with it. Looked for a table to restrain her on. Found a wheelchair with restraints for the hands and feet. I put the hag in it. Of course she didn't resist, but her dead weight made it seem like she was a huge French doll, but one made of flesh. Put her hands on the armrests and restrained them at the wrists with the metal rings and hinges. I did the same with her feet. This must have been a wheelchair specifically remodeled to restrain a person. Other than the restraints, it was a regular wheelchair. I waited for the hag to wake up. I had so many things I wanted to ask her. I didn't think she'd answer honestly, but I had plenty of tools to make her talk. I was in no rush. When the hag had a concern, relatives took care of the problem. That was how it worked in the Sonozaki family. She was the leader of the family, so all the information they gathered would make its way to her. She must know everything that happened in Hinamizawa, including the curse of Yashiro-sama. Heard a noise from the cell. Mion must have woken up before the hag did. Speaking of the hag, she didn't seem like she was about to wake up anytime soon. She was restrained even if she did, so I had no need to fear. I left the hag there and headed for the cell. Shion, what do you think you're doing? She talked like the successor. She also sounded frightened. She obviously understood the situation she was in right now. Good morning, Mion. Never thought you'd be in there, huh? Oh my god. Yeah, my laugh, yeah. As the acting head, I order you, open this up. You don't sound so scary in there. You need to talk more like a leader, don't you think? Although, talking that way will only make you look like a fool. There's nothing funny about it, but I wanted to intimidate Mion. My laughter echoed throughout the cave. It was artificial and meaningless laughter. I heard it over and over as it echoed. It sounded as if I wasn't the only one laughing. Couldn't stand it, so I stopped. Silence filled the air. Silence almost hurt my ears, so I started to speak. I never thought Tomitaki-san and Takano-san would be the victims. What an idea to burn Takano-san to death. But actually, she would be the kind of person who would prefer to die that way. Maybe she's satisfied, huh? Miu didn't say anything. She just stared at me to see how I'd proceed. What about the way Tomitaki-san died? Clawed out his own throat, right? Did you give him a shot of some kind? Or is there a torture device that did that to him? Mion didn't reply. I was smiling boldly, but I became impatient, finally kicked at bars. Made a violent noise. Mion jumped as if she was kicked directly. It's boring not to get any answers. Do you have any idea what will happen if I get angry? How would I know? Mion finally replied. She was odious, but at the same time sounded pitiful. Hey Mion, as the successor, why don't you tell me? Let's see. I had just too many things I wanted to ask her. I wanted to ask her about me, about the incident, about the curse, about Satoshi-kun. I didn't even know where to start. Before I asked her about those, I asked her one other thing. You know there's no point in trying to resist, don't you? Mion glared at me silently. Because we were twins, I knew that was just a bluff. Come this far, so there's no point in me hesitating anymore. Shouldn't expect hesitation or even mercy from me, sis. Mion must have been feeling the cold sweat on her face. The light was dim. I could tell she was frightened. Okay, here I go. First, about the series of mysterious deaths in Himizawa, also known as the curse of Yashiro-sama. What's the meaning of it? Is it to signify the end of the dam conflict? I think so. What do you mean you think so? We're here for answers. Mion sounded a little confused, but she answered. Felt satisfaction now that we were communicating. Continued with a smile. You think, huh? Don't you know the details? You know yourself that the successor is simply a messenger for Granny. Yeah, right. But the successor must know everything the current head is thinking, right? Do you really think I believe you're just a messenger? Although I'm always around Granny, I don't always know what she's thinking. It's not like I can understand her all the time. Okay, so you're saying everything about the curse of Yashiro-sama is decided by the hag herself, right? I assume she'd talk to the successor about it. When it's something dangerous, Granny decides on her own. I don't have anything to do with it. But even if she decides it by herself, the hag uses you to take over various things, doesn't she? And you're telling me you don't know anything? No! She doesn't use me for that. I really don't understand it myself. But it's like I take care of problems on the surface, and someone else takes care of problems on the underside. Who? Who's the one that takes care of these underside problems? I don't know. Haven't you seen anyone? Haven't you overheard a phone conversation? Must be someone who gets in touch with the hag at the same time every year, around the same time the curse happens. I don't know. I really don't. Mion shook her head. Okay, let me change the question. Why were Tomitaki-san and Takano-san chosen as victims, even though they had nothing to do with the dam conflict? Was it because they snuck into the ritual storehouse? Oh, as soon as Mion heard the words ritual storehouse, her expression shifted. I really don't think they knew about the ritual storehouse. The ritual storehouse? Did they intrude on the storehouse at the Furude Shrine? Didn't you know? I thought you already knew. If they really did that, then it was truly stupid of them. Of course something would happen to them. Mion muttered bitterly while shaking her head repeatedly. Mion's reaction made me realize the true meaning of the forbidden storehouse for ritual implements. The ritual storehouse is a sacred building, so nobody can go inside. The curse will fall upon any who disobey. Any child would know that rule. However, just because they knew about it didn't mean they all believed in it. Though they were told they would be cursed, most of the kids actually enjoyed hearing the stories. Simply didn't believe it was true. However, Mion's reaction told me it absolutely was. They actually did that. Of course something would happen to them. She was saying that if somebody snuck into the ritual storehouse, that person should be killed. What you know and what I know aren't matching up anymore. Of course I'm aware I shouldn't just waltz into the storehouse. But to be killed in such a gruesome way for doing it? I never knew that. Did you? That's just because you're ignorant about it, Shion. Well, sorry for being ignorant. Could you please explain it to me? Just like you said, kids don't really believe in the curse. They assume it's just superstition. They also know if an adult found out, they'd be in big trouble. But, to the elderly people of Hinamizawa, it's something more serious. Mina explained to me how the elderly people blindly believe in Yashida-sama, and how sacred the festivals are to them. It's probably something the younger generations would never understand, but they're possessed by a very strong, deeply rooted devotion towards Yashida-sama. Mion then went on to tell me about how sinful it was to violate the rule of the ritual storehouse. I just couldn't believe things like that were still going on, even in the modern day. Couldn't even reply appropriately. But, even if it was unbelievable, I couldn't ignore what I was hearing from my twin sister. I see. But, Mion, doesn't the rule say that one victim gets killed by the curse, and another has to become a sacrifice? The body of the sacrifice is never to be found. But there are 2 dead bodies this time. What do you think of that? Mion doesn't know that besides Takano-san and Tomitaki-san, Keiichi and I also snuck into the ritual storehouse. So I tried to lead her a little. I know. That doesn't make sense. Maybe Takano's son's burned body wasn't supposed to be found. Maybe the intention was for her to vanish. Or, I'm not too sure, but... What? Just say what you're thinking. I won't get mad. Mion hesitated a little first, and then started to speak. Actually, 4 people snuck into the shrine storage. So maybe... Maybe what? Maybe the other 2 will become the sacrifices and get demoned away. Okay. Okay. Alright. Mion's words were stuck in my head. Those 2 dead bodies were the result of the curse. There should be 2 sacrifices to calm Yashida-sama's anger. I can't really remember what happened at the end of chapter 2. Because this is... I know I shouldn't think about it as the same timeline, but chapter 2 is when they went to the ritual storehouse. So, I can't remember how that ended, though. 4 of us snuck into the shrine storage together. It was a simple equation. Did that mean that Keiichi and I were in danger? Got drunk, fell asleep, and decided to stay overnight. Was that because of the alcohol, or did someone put a drug in my drink? It's not like me to get drunk and spend the night at the hag's house. I wanted to forget about what happened in that eerie storehouse, so I drank too much. It was really strange for me to get that drunk. Maybe it was a good thing I woke up in the middle of the night. Oh, wow. Wow. Maybe they were planning on just making her disappear. Could have been the one to wake up in a cell. Sometimes it's hard to recognize danger when you avoid it accidentally. Part of me just wanted to laugh at the idea, but another part felt frightened that I was so close to being in Mion's position. If my thinking was correct, I wonder how Keiichi Maebara was doing right now. I didn't see him in any of the cells, but that didn't guarantee his safety. Okay. Because I think I remember, let's see. I think it was the end of chapter 2 that, Keiichi came down here and either tortured Mion or something like that. He came down here, definitely. I think he tortured someone, or he saved Mion or something. It was something to that degree. Takano-san and Tomitake-san had been executed. There's a possibility that Keiichi could already be dead. Just like what happened to Satoshi-kun, it might only happen after a few days. When the sun rose, I was going to pretend to be Mion and head to her school. Isn't this one where he got his fingers nailed? Yeah, you're right. Okay, I was remembering the opposite. It was Mion who nailed Keiichi. Yeah. So I went to check if Keiichi Maebara was safe. If he had already disappeared, the enemy would come after me next. I'd have to be a decoy for myself. Yeah, oh my gosh. Yeah, oh my gosh. Because Shion is saying that she's going to go to the school dressed up as Mion. And in Keiichi's POV, it was Mion who went to school with her. And Mion, the one who... okay. But if he was still safe, I'd need to keep my eyes on him. I was sure the enemy would come after that scatterbrain. If I became Mion, Shion would disappear. The enemy would think that Shion had already been demoned away, and they'd concentrate on Keiichi. If nothing happened to Keiichi, that would also be fine. It'd prove that nothing would happen to me either. The hag was still sleeping in the wheelchair. I was going to interrogate her, but actually, I wasn't expecting to learn that much. The woman was also known as Empress Sonozaki. Probably wouldn't say a thing even if her fingers were cut off. Mion, her successor, was the complete opposite. She spoke readily, but didn't know too much about anything. Mion had said she was only a messenger, and that someone else was taking care of problems on the underside. It was possible that Mion had grown to be a good liar, and that she tried to deceive me with a straight face. But at the same time, I could see the hag not letting Mion get involved in the underside of the village. If I were her, I wouldn't have used Mion for that either. Unlike me, Mion was a nice person. While there were only ones and zeros in the world, she believed there were numbers with decimal points. So black and white thinking. Okay. In other words, she could never be cruel. That is such a lie, though. She could never be cruel. I mean, unless Shion is, like, making it seem like she was possessed when she does the cruel acts. And it's not actually her. The hag thought the same way I do. It was very possible. The one who took care of problems on the underside, X, was the one who actually governed the curse of Yashiro-sama. The hag became concerned about something, X would deal with it, either directly or indirectly. Maybe the hag and X would discuss the details first. But did X really exist? If he did, his place in the village hierarchy was a lot more important than that of the successor. Unlike Mion, who was too nice, he was discreet, cruel, and cunning. Furthermore, he was extremely close to the hag. Someone who would have a lot of contact with her just before it was time for the curse. Because of the way Tomitake-san died, could be someone who has regularly dealt with unusual drugs. He could be a member of the medical institution. The director of the Irie clinic. Irie? In this isolated village, Irie was famous for opening such a beautiful clinic. for working so hard for the villagers' sake. The villagers liked his mature personality and really respected him. There's nothing scarier than a doctor who's also a murderer. That's true. Yeah, that's true. HEWWO was the person behind the curse. All the mysterious deaths could be explained. However, there's only slim chance of HEWWO being X. Main reason being that the hag wouldn't trust him. Like many of the elderly, the hag doesn't like young people. That's a funny sentence by itself. Like many of the elderly, the hag doesn't like young people. I knew she'd never trust him because of his age. Furthermore, she had openly criticized his behavior among the relatives once. Although HEWWO was famous, he was an outsider after all. He wasn't born here. He tried to maintain a good relationship with the villagers as the director of the clinic. But that was just on the surface. Couldn't even imagine the hag telling him about her worries, or about the village's underside. She was as suspicious of others as I was. She'd only gathered trustworthy people to deal with that underside. First people that came to mind were the leaders of the three families. Leaving Rika-chama out, the head of the Kimiyoshi family was a strong possibility. He was the only one who could advise Empress Sonozaki. They were of similar age, and everyone knew that they were very close outside the family councils. Furthermore, as the mayor, he often went to Sonozaki House just before Watanagashi to discuss festival preparations. You could easily picture them talking privately. The one who executed the curse of Yashiro-sama, the one who murdered Takano-san and Tomitaki-san, the mastermind behind the series of mysterious deaths that had been going on for the past 5 years. Was he coming after me? Did he get to Satoshi-kun? When I thought about Satoshi-kun, I felt elevated. I was fearful of possibly being this year's victim until just a moment ago. I was scared that X was after me. When I thought about it, I realized, whoever it was, this person had gotten Satoshi-kun. I looked so hard, but I couldn't find him. I'd almost forgotten about this enemy. For better or for worse, he was going to appear before me again. No matter how hard I tried, I couldn't find that enemy. But now, he was trying to find me. That was it. I wasn't only being chased, I was chasing too. When I realized all this, I was no longer afraid of dying to the 5th year's curse. It had become a game. I wasn't only being threatened, I was threatening too. Now was the time to settle the score for Satoshi-kun. Now was the time to awaken passions that had grown weak over the past year. I could feel righteous indignation and courage flare up within me. The only emotion that can defeat fear is anger. I don't know about that, but when my anger completely overtook my fear, I felt as if I were reborn. Why don't you wake up, Empress of Hags? Empress of Hags. I kicked her wheelchair rather violently. That didn't wake her up either. Are you just pretending to be asleep? I grabbed her hair and pulled her head up. But even then, the hag still stayed silent with a straight face. I noticed something. I looked for an appropriate torture device. They were all large scale, none of them being particularly handy. That's when I saw a cigarette lighter on a cushion in the tatami room. One of the relatives must have left it there. I lit the lighter. A huge flame appeared. Turned the lighter off and went back to the hag with it. Can you see it? Can't you see it? This is a cigarette lighter somebody left behind. I lit it in front of her eyes. Aw, did the freaking stream die again? Oh no, no, the stream didn't die. You're talking about the freaking hag, aren't you? Yeah, Grandma. She's dead. She has to be. There's no way she lived through that. If it was a actually like altered stun gun, that could kill an elderly person. 100%. Even a regular stun gun could do that. I'm gonna burn your nose now. You don't want that, do you? Wouldn't want it? So why don't you quit pretending to be asleep? There was still no response. The flame right under her nose without hesitation. And especially she freaking aimed the stun gun right at her neck. Like, that's too close to the head, you know? Tip of the flame touched the tip of her nose. The flame must have burned her nose hair. It smelled terrible. I was already certain, but I continued anyway. Brought the flame closer to her eye. Her eyelid didn't move one bit. Flame burned her eyelashes, making it smell awful again. Turned the lighter off, and then felt her throat and wrist. I didn't feel any warmth. Yeah, she did. Didn't feel a pulse either. Did she die from the stun gun? There's no way she could pretend to be asleep while being burned, even if she could endure the pain. Anyone would reflexively move their eyelids if a flame came close to their eyes, but she didn't. Turned the sink water on and aimed the end of the hose at the hag's face. Water pressure wasn't too high, but by squeezing the tip of the hose, could make it squirt out. Water hit the hag in the face, but there was still no reaction. Shit. You've got to be kidding me. She's dead. The one who was at the center of everything is dead now. I knew she wouldn't talk, but I didn't expect her to end up dead. I never even thought of killing her. I walked around the room restlessly. I didn't feel guilty, but instead felt frustrated with what I'd done. I know! All your answers were inside that girl, and now she's freaking dead. Not even girl. Elderly woman. Yeah. Oopsie, teehee. Right? Yeah. Well, she's never used the stun gun before, so... Most people who die from fire die due to smoke inhalation. Yeah, exactly. Come on. I need to calm down. What do I need to be afraid of? Calm down and stay cool. Well, now you need to be afraid of X and literally everyone she was connected with, because if they find out that Shion killed the freaking main leader empress fella, Shion's gonna die. 100%. That's just... Calm down. Stay cool. My brain's starting to calm down. My emotions cooling down with it. She was my true enemy. It was just that I killed her before confronting her about it. Sooner or later, I would have killed her anyway. She wouldn't have said anything in the first place, so there wasn't really a reason I should have let her live. I didn't realize that until now. That was why I got frustrated. My revenge for Satoshi-kun started with the unexpected death of my grandmother. It was such a strange feeling. I was wearing sopping wet clothes. I replaced that feeling with anger. Couldn't forgive her. Couldn't forgive the hag for abusing the Hojo family, including Satoshi-kun, for so many years. She cornered him psychologically as well as physically. She didn't deserve an easy death from a stun gun. Picked up a whip that was hanging on the wall. The whip was designed to make sure a person on the receiving end got seriously injured. I swung it up, and then down. The sound reminded me of when I was a child hitting things with a jump rope I pretended was a whip. But unlike then, I'd make a purple mark on the hag's face, and a reddish-black blood started oozing out. I swung it up, and down again. This time, the whip hits her in the head. Her hair flew in the air. Saw a bunch of her hair on the tip of the whip. At the end of the bunch of hair, there was a piece of her skin. Oh! Ugh. It seemed like the whip had ripped part of her scalp off. I continued to hit her with the whip. I didn't bother removing the hair beforehand. The tip of the whip was divided into many points, with each point having a fishhook on the end. A fishhook! Those hooks, added to the speed of the whip, not only scratched the victim, but tore their skin as well. The hag's hair was all messed up and her face was getting bloody. It started to look like a real demon. I stopped the whipping. Not because my arm was tired, because I couldn't stand the feeling of her hair on the whip touching me every time I swung the whip. God. You know what they call this? A crime of passion. When they mutilate someone this badly after death. I threw the whip at the hag. Breathing heavily, I realized I was covered in her hair. I love fishing. Shut up! I love fishing, yeah. Fishing for murder. My strawberry jelly. Yeah, I'm pretty sure 100% people have strawberry jelly inside of them. Fun fact. That's why blood is so yummy. Breathing heavily, I realized I was covered in her hair. It almost felt like thousands of maggots crawling all over me. I brushed it off violently. You deserve this. You fucking demon hag. Put my hands on my knees and exhaled roughly. It was then I noticed it. I perked up, turned around. There it is. The person who had been watching me since I snuck into the shrine storage. I sensed this person sitting in the tatami room. Enjoyed me watching me torture my grandmother. An overwhelming emotion started to swallow me up. Tried desperately not to feel it. How long have you been there? You should have said something. What? Who? It was just there. Just like Satoshi-kun, it was just there. It was extremely uncomfortable to have it just be there. I see. Rena told me. Are you a Yashiro-sama? I smiled boldly. Yet I could feel my body shivering. Can't fool me. Are you saying that you're a Yashiro-sama and that the curse of a Yashiro-sama really does exist? Come on. Who would believe something like that? Huh? It was just my imagination. It couldn't have been the curse of Yashiro-sama. The curse couldn't be real. Everything was done by humans. They made everything look like it was a curse. Well, I don't care if you saw what I did. I won't charge you for it. But if you're thinking about interfering, I won't hold back, you know? No matter what I said, nothing happened. It's like I was trying to communicate with an insect. I felt like I was staring at a spider in the middle of its web. The spider was staring back. Turned to the hag in the wheelchair. Couldn't leave her body here forever. If I don't need to make her death known, then it should be quick. And it's best if a body doesn't exist. Not even in the secret underground torture room. Oof. I exhaled to try to calm myself down. Oh, I remember now. I was a little girl. Guess I used to love making me feel scared. He often told me scary stories about various horrible things. I recalled the story about the secret torture room of the Sonozaki family. According to the story, there was a well in the torture room for dumping bodies in. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. That's exactly where this is going. There was a pile of tortured corpses at the bottom of the well, and the resentful moans could be heard echoing from there. About halfway down the well, there was a different tunnel, which was a secret passage leading into the distant mountains. That bit was from Mion's telling of the story. It's probably an amalgamation of tellings from different relatives. The room was supposed to be a huge secret, but everyone got loose lips at the chance to have fun scaring the young successor. Mion, do you remember one of our relatives talking about a hidden well a long time ago? There's supposed to be a hidden well somewhere in this underground torture room, and it's connected to a secret passage. Did you hear some noise earlier? That was me whipping the hag. Oh my god. Yeah, she was just bragging. Mion didn't reply, but I saw her bite her lip. Don't worry, I won't whip you. But if you don't cooperate, I might punish her some more. Next time I won't use a whip. Down at the end, do you see a cell in the darkness? It's in there. Mion pointed weakly. Walked down to where her finger indicated. The light bulb lit up the cell. It was a lot smaller than the one Mion was in. It was very shallow, and I didn't even need to open the door to see how tiny it was. Whipping the hag is what we call that nowadays. No, I don't think it is. I don't think that is what you call that. If that is what we were speaking of. Of course there's no well in there. I became angry, assuming that she lied to me. But after considering it, I didn't actually think she would at this point. I opened the door and walked in. I noticed something immediately. There was an opening right in the middle of the cell. This opening was naturally disguised. The way the rocks and the shadows were positioned perfectly hid the well. The tip of the rock inside of the cell concealed the entrance. Unless you went in, you'd never notice. But it was such a shallow cell that nobody would even think of going in. Besides, the bars allow you to see inside well enough. The cell's not even a few meters deep, so it would only take a glance to see everything. Nobody would think of unlocking the door and walking in. But walking in was the only way anyone could find the well. Furthermore, there were many cells in this huge cave. Who would think that one of them was hiding a secret well? The inside of the well was dark, couldn't see anything. But every little noise I made produced no echoes. I could tell this was a very deep well. I brought a flashlight from the torture room and shone it down the well. Isn't chapter 2 also the one where they found, like, Rika at the bottom of the freaking well or something? Right? I remember them finding someone at the bottom of the well. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Chapter 2 is when Rika and Satoko went missing, right? Is that... oh, God, it's so... I need to do a freaking recap of all these chapters before I go into this every time, so I can get my facts straight. It'd be easier to theorize that way. Brought a flashlight down from the torture room and shone it down the well. It almost looked more like a vertical tunnel. Obviously a man-made one at that. There were wedges on the wall, like a ladder, and they looked as if they were inviting me to descend. It's kind of ironic that the secret escape route from the underground torture room ended up being a well that takes you down even further. Even further down. You had no way of knowing whether it would take you to freedom or to hell. Furthermore, there were the tortured bodies of past victims at the bottom. Who would be able to go down this well without hesitation? Nobody in their right mind could go down this well to look for a secret tunnel, hearing the voices of the dead all the while. Have you ever gone down that well, Mion? I've never even wanted to. I feel the same way. Why would I go down that well where they tossed the victims of this torture room? Went back to the torture room and then returned to the cave, pushing the wheelchair containing the hag. Mion screamed. Shh, Shion. You're gonna push Granny down the well? No, I'm not. I'm just dumping her body. She's dead. Oh, Mionda. She didn't know. Rest assured, I didn't torture her to death. It was probably the stun gun. Maybe her heart failed. I could just leave her body here, but I don't want it to rot, you know? She's so casual about it. How could you? Hey, you want to take care of her even now that she's dead? Maybe you could use chopsticks to pick maggots off her body. Oh, God. Huh? Mion covered her ears and shook her head. Everything I said seemed to bother Mion. Her own life wasn't guaranteed at this point. Shion, why did you do this? Let's see. Why do you think? Nobody said anything for a while, but the silence was soon broken. Satoshi? Is this revenge? I don't know if it was really revenge, since it happened so quickly. So she died without feeling a thing. Hey, Mion. Now that I think about it, I did have a reason to kill the hag. Do you know what it was? It wasn't just because she killed Satoshi-kun. It's because she lied. I slapped the hag's head. You said it too. You told me that if I ripped out my nails, she would forgive everyone. That's why I ripped out 3 of my nails. I did what you told me to, right? But she didn't keep her promise. She made Satoshi-kun disappear. Why? What was that for? I continued to slap the hag's head. Her blood was all over my hand by then, and it felt gross. I tried to wipe it off on her clothes, then her hair got on my hand. Ran to the sink in the torture room and washed my hands with a brush. When I was done, I went back to Mion's cell. After Satoshi-kun disappeared, he came over and told me. He said the relationship between me and Satoshi-kun was forgiven. You also said that the Sonozaki main house had nothing to do with Satoshi-kun's disappearance. Yeah, You lied. Lied. My shouts echoed throughout the cave. Yeah, Usada. I was breathing heavily. I felt like I used up all the air in my lungs. I believe you don't know anything. You aren't even sure if the hag actually trusted you. But I don't know if she forgave Satoshi-kun because of what I did. She wouldn't have told you the truth. The hag didn't keep her promise. She said she'd forgive everyone. She lied. She didn't forgive Satoshi-kun. Liar. Sotsuki. I can't say that fast. Damn it. Give me back Satoshi-kun. I want him back. I want him. I kicked the hag's leg repeatedly. Each time I kicked, the wheelchair made a squeaky noise. ran out of breath and kneeled down. Mion was still covering her ears. It was now shaking. There were tears in her eyes. Sorry to scare you. Sorry about that. If you really don't know, I won't torment you. Don't worry. But if you were ever lying to me, well, you have to accept whatever comes your way. You know what I mean? Yeah. Haha. Classic Shion, right guys? Classic. Oh my gosh. I see the recurring theme of lying here. I see this. First with Rena, and now with Shion. Usotsuki. Bad. Alright. Okay, we got 2 more tips. Page 183, so not too long after the last ones. 183. I wasn't planning to kill the hag so quickly. I was going to kill her anyway, but it was too soon. People would normally assume that the Sonozaki family operates as a hierarchy, but that's not true. It's actually more like a system of government. Several ministries stem from the main family, and each forms a hierarchy of its own. These ministries don't communicate with one another. People who belong to a given ministry don't know what the other ministries are doing. That way, the Sonozaki's family's dealings are kept perfectly secret. Of course, the most important people in the family govern several ministries. They know, of course, about their own ministries. And they know a little bit about the ministries their relatives run. But none of them know everything. There are ministries that work in the open, there are ministries that work unseen, and there are some smaller ones that Odio runs herself. Mion seems to know about most of them, but she doesn't necessarily know them all. In fact, she didn't know about the curse. Considering that, the fact that the hag died before I could interrogate her is a huge loss. Yeah, it is a huge loss. I really don't think she would have found out anything, so I really don't think the hag would have said anything. Like, at all. She would have gotten nothing either way. But, you know, at least she would have gotten the satisfaction. Oh no, don't play Dear You, I got copywritten last time. No. Next one, 185, I think. The head of the Kimiyoshi family was the one who called the main house most often after the 5th year's curse. Father called the second most. My parents were still high in the hierarchy, but the stir caused by mother's disownment still hung over us. So we got treated as outcasts. So the fact that my father received so many calls proved how much the hag valued us, despite the distance at which we were being kept, demonstrating her own two-faced respect for both sides of the coin. My father seemed to be in charge of the intelligence bureau. He reported police information, gossip, and rumors going around in the Yakuza business to the hag. He silences, stirs, and distorts that information at her request. By the way, my servant Kasai is an old friend of my father's. That must be why Kasai knows many things. But I don't know. I don't know if my father is involved in the curse's execution. My assumption is that although he gathered information on the police investigation about the case, he wasn't involved in the execution itself. The fact that my father and the hag have this close connection isn't widely known. People know that she uses his information network, but they don't look very far beyond that. In the same way, it's possible that a curse execution team exists under the hag's direct control. People just aren't aware of it. Could it be her own father? Disappeared Satoshi-kun? I mean, he is freaking Yakuza. Yakuza can do a lot, can't they? Alright, we're gonna go for one more little chapter section area. It was actually me. No, it wasn't. You don't think he even wants credit for that. Yakuza are like a dragon. Right. They do. They are like dragon. Oh, thank you for posture check and hydrate. I needed that. Home. Funny cat gif. Lighten the mood. Lighten the mood over Shion's revenge. I was having such a happy dream. Satoshi-kun was in the dream. He was leading his normal everyday life. He was back on the baseball team. Yurie and I acted normally around him because we knew that's how mature people should act. Welcomed him back as if he had been here with us the whole time. Yeah, the cat gift thing I did like maybe 2 weeks ago. It's fun. It's fine. Although he hits well in practice sessions, he still doesn't do well in a real game. Come on, Satoshi-kun! 3 strikes already? I'm cheering for you. Then Satoshi-kun pouted as he mumbled. Felt tears pouring down my face. Oh my god. Stop. We need the aura of sadness happening right now. Ooh. Sniffle, sniffle. Satoshi-kun, Satoshi-kun. Aww. The happy dream faded out with my sobs. The harder I tried to focus on it, the faster it faded. Soon, it was all gone. I could see the bright morning sun through a crack in the curtains. It was in Mion's room at the Sonozaki house. When did I come back? I was crouching in the corner of the room and crying. Dream is a dream. Wish I hadn't woken up. One must wake up from a dream. We live in a world where there are no dreams, and that's why we always wake up. But I wasn't sure if I was the only one dreaming that dream. So I felt like Satoshi-kun was right beside me. Satoshi-kun? Did you come back? There was no reply. That was the rule. If it was Satoshi-kun, we should smile at me just once. But Satoshi-kun's presence faded away, as if he was never there to begin with. I heard the phone ring by the front door. Ah, that's right. I was the only one in the house now. I had to answer it. I got up to walk to the front door. Felt unsteady, so I put my hand on the wall to support myself. It's probably Keiichi, right? Hardly got any sleep. It's like I had a bad cold. The phone continued to ring. Probably didn't have to answer it, actually. I was still half asleep, and all I could think of was answering the phone. Hello, Sonozaki residence. Sorry to call you so early. It's Kimiyoshi. Oh, Kimiyoshi. How many channel points for Subway Surfers in the corner? No channel points. Infinite channel points. That is the most horrible idea I've ever heard, I think, for a channel point reward. That's actually horrible. Nah. Not Family Guy. Either. It's so funny, though. It's Kimiyoshi. Is your grandma still sleeping? It was Uncle Kimiyoshi. She is, yes. I guess she's still tired from yesterday. Think I'll let her sleep in. Yeah, you probably should. Mion-chan, you're going to school, right? Can I leave a message with you? Sure. What is it? Let's see. There will be an emergency meeting regarding the incident from yesterday. It'll be at the Shrine's Assembly Hall starting at 5 p.m. Did you get that? Yes. I'll give her the message. As soon as I put the phone down, it rang again. Hello, Sonozaki residence. Good morning. Sorry to call you so early. This is Kasai. Is this Mion-san? Good morning. Oh, I love... She's literally, like, taking over the role of Mion. And she's going to, like, attend the meetings and be as Mion is. With this, like, growing anger and revenge on the inside. Like, conjuring a plan of how to destroy everything. Oh my gosh. Kasai-san. Good morning. Is Shion-san still there? I wasn't panicked, but I hesitated. I could tell him no. Or I could play both Mion and Shion. Shion was washing her face just now. I'll get her for you. I decided to play 2 parts. Went back and forth down the hallway and picked up the phone again. Kasai? Morning. Good morning, Shion-san. Are you going to school today? Of course not. I feel miserable. Kind of expected that. By the way, how are you getting back to Okinomiya? I can have someone come pick you up. I think I get a ride from Uncle Kimiyoshi or someone else. Don't worry, I'll figure something out. Father told me to make sure you go to school often enough. I appreciate your cooperation. I'll go when I feel like it. By the way, Kasai, did you hear? What about? You know, the incident from last night? Yes, I have. How truly horrifying. All the past victims were war criminals from the dam conflict, right? But it's different this year. What do you think about that? Don't really know. Kasai wasn't the type to talk too much. If it was about something complicated, he usually responded like that. Do you know why those two fell under the curse of Yashiro-sama? No. I heard this last night. Supposedly, they snuck into the ritual storehouse during the festival. They used a metal wire or something to unlock the door. Kasai went silent for a while. I held my breath while waiting to see how he responded. I expected him to say that he couldn't believe those people were chosen as victims for sneaking into a storehouse. I expected him to say that it was just too unrealistic. I see. That was stupid of them. Oh! Oh! Yeah. Since Tomitake-san was an outsider, I bet he didn't know. I went along with Kasai, but I felt disturbed on the inside. Because I didn't wonder why breaking into the ritual storehouse would justify their deaths. I'd known Kasai for a long time, so I knew there was a heavy meaning to what he said. By the way, Kasai, actually, I did it too. Oh my god! Shion! Shion, no! I did. I snuck into the ritual storehouse. Did you go in? Yeah. You went into the ritual storehouse, Shion-san. Yeah. Takano-san invited me. Takano-san, Tomitake-san, and... Remember Keiichi who just moved here recently? Him and me, to make 4 of us. I heard Kasai sighing heavily. Even though he didn't say a word, I could tell he was shocked. I'd never known him to act this way before. Shion-san, don't you remember what happened last year? How do you think you can take care of this? Last year was 3 now, so maybe 5 this year? Ah, sorry. I wasn't trying to make light of the situation. I knew I shouldn't have done it. I regret it at least a little. Was it really that terrible thing to do? You are related to the Sonozaki main family. Do you really think people would understand? But I've been living in Okinomiya all my life. Since the hag hated me, I've barely been to Hinamizawa. Besides, I was stuck at school. How would I know about any of that? Heard another sigh from Kasai. That sigh told me my excuses would be useless. Shion-san, I am your ally. I want to support you as much as I can. There are dangers even I can't protect you from. Besides, Sorry, Sis is here. I've gotta go. See ya! Oh god. Click. I interrupted Kasai and hung up. I didn't want to hear it. I didn't want to hear Kasai reject me. He, who had been my ally all my life. Shit. Damn it. I could hear the sound of the cicadas. Sound made me feel like I was being cooked on a huge frying pan, making a sizzling noise. I felt feeling remorseful. Now I knew that sneaking to the ritual storehouse wasn't a laughing matter. But I really didn't know it at the time. Sure, the door was locked, so they didn't want anyone to go in. Then why did they change the lock? What did they say? I think it was that Rika-chama said the previous lock was too heavy for her, so she had it changed to that cheap one. That was how Takano-san broke in. If the heavy lock was still there, this wouldn't have happened. I slapped my own forehead. I took a deep breath. I had to calm down. What was the point of fussing now? I already passed the point of no return. There's no use thinking otherwise. The hag was already dead. Even if she wasn't, she was now at the bottom of the well. Therefore, I was already past the point where I could just cut my fingers off in apology. I felt so unstable. I'd walk on the fence around the swings at the park before, as if I was walking on a tightrope. It was fun because even if I fell, it was only a very short distance. It wouldn't have been fun if I were up really high. At the very moment, I was in fact already on a tightrope that was a lot higher than the fence at the park. As soon as I took a step, the rope behind me would vanish. Couldn't step back because there was nothing behind me. That was, in short, the current situation I found myself in. Standing in one spot was all I could do. Even if I never took another step, I'd fall if I wasn't careful. If I forced myself to walk, the danger would only increase. If I didn't move, I would fall eventually. Couldn't see what was ahead of me. There's no guarantee I'd ever find firm ground. If I stopped, there's only one fate waiting for me. I have to move onward. Staying here guaranteed death, then I'd rather try to walk, even if I die as a result. Even if there was a dead end ahead of me, at least I tried my hardest. In general, I try to be optimistic. I could accept my life not lasting particularly long, but I wouldn't go easily. I struggled as much as possible. I'd already killed the hag. For that, there could be no other punishment than death. I knew my life would end soon. In other words, I was actually already dead. No. Just because you're gonna die soon doesn't mean you're already dead. Dead person has nothing to lose. That means I can only go on the offensive. I clenched my fists tightly as I muttered. Even if I had to die, I couldn't die easily. That was my chance to avenge Satoshi-kun. Who did it, for what purpose, and why? I was going to investigate. I was going to question. I was going to expose. Yes, I was going to settle the score. I'd carry out the plan I came up with yesterday. I could hide the hag's death somehow. All I'd have to say is that she hadn't been feeling well since Watanagashi. Could do it all while pretending to be Mion. Just in case her friends at school became suspicious. Maybe I'd start telling them I hadn't been feeling well either. In fact, I did feel groggy from my lack of sleep. When I became Mion, Shion would automatically disappear. I'd already told Kasai that I'd snuck into the shrine storage. She'd probably end up telling people that I was demoned away, due to the curse of Yasuda-sama. Last person I'd have to think about was the fourth one who'd stuck into the ritual storehouse, Keiichi Maebara. Maybe I can use him as bait to lure out the enemy. Sorry, Kei-chan. You're gonna be my bait. Yeah, she's just sacrificing everyone. Felt a little bad, so I was starting to like him. That's the only reason you feel that? I kinda liked him, so I'm sorry I'm using him as bait and he might die as a result. Yeah, okay. With all that figured out, let's go to school. Gone to school as Mion before, so I knew how things worked. It's almost time to leave the house. Oh boy, here we go. Now she needs to freaking act appropriately when she sees Satoko. Alright? No child abuse, please. Please. Act appropriately. Mi-chan, you're late. Ha! Haha. You waited? You should have just gone ahead. Hey, Mion, your face is red. You're breathing heavily, too. Mi-chan, are you not feeling well? Rena put her hand on my forehead. Rena, your hand is pretty cold. Mi-chan, you're a little bit warm. It's no big deal. Give it half a day and I'll be as fit as a fiddle. Are you really okay? You don't have to push yourself, you know. What's this? Kei-chan, are you worried about me? That's nice of you. I always thought he was a goofball, so I was a little surprised. I thought he would tease me, but they didn't. I just think you shouldn't push yourself so hard. We can tell the teacher that you had to take the day off. I'm fine. I took some medicine. It's already working. Okay, let's go. Oh my gosh, I actually vividly remember this part in the chapter 2. I remember them meeting Mion after, and Mion being like, I drank a lot last night, you know? Wow. Don't overdo it, but of course there's the time. What? We need to run or we won't make it. This morning got pretty thrilling. Maybe it's just what I need to shake off this sluggishness. Let's run. And the day went on, and we had all fun times. Fun times. President, if you would. Everybody stand up. At attention! I made the same mistake before. Never learn, do I?
Do you think Michan is doing okay? She doesn't look good. Oh, really? How unfortunate.
It was a good idea to make them believe I was sick. Even if I did things differently from Mion, I had an excuse. Well, you know, girls have those days when they just don't feel well. Keiichi. I mean, you're not wrong, but...
I don't have those days. Mipa.
Mion's friends kept each other occupied and left me alone. Keiichi Maebara might suddenly disappeared one day. I couldn't let that happen. That would be like letting a fish take the bait and swim away while I was fast asleep with a fishing pole in my hands. Couldn't miss the moment the enemy took a bite out of Keiichi. I had to be very careful. It was impossible to keep my eyes on him 24 hours a day. Spying on him at school like this wasn't good enough. Should I have him meet with Shion and let her explain that he's in danger? Maybe we could set up a strategy together. I didn't think that Keiichi realized how serious a crime it was to step into the ritual storehouse. I hadn't, after all. Marry him. I don't think she could do that, even as bait. I don't think she could do that. Just out of, like, her infatuation obsession with freaking, Satoshi. Since last year, all the incidents that related to the curse had probably been investigated in secret. People involved with the three families would know about the incident from last night. But Keiichi shouldn't know anything. If he knew where he stood now, he'd be more cautious too. That should make him aware of his surroundings. Maybe he would notice if anything odd took place. The teacher caught him sleeping, so she ordered him to go wash his face. Walked out into the hallway. I was sleepy too. I had to be alert, but I couldn't clear my mind in my lack of sleep. Decided to go home early. So I'd been pretending to be sick since morning. My request was approved. Yeah, that's a real good idea to keep watch on Keiichi. To freaking go home early. Okay. As I exited the building, I saw Keiichi watching his face. Thought you'd be out here. Feels better outside, huh? Mion? Yawn! No cutting glass now. Looked like it felt refreshing for him to wash his face with cold water. I washed my face too. It didn't feel as good as it looked. Mion, how's your cold doing? You're sleepy because of the medicine, not from lack of sleep, yeah? Actually, this is a secret, but after the festival yesterday, I got wrapped up in the party my relatives were having. And well, I had a bit. Gulp. I pretended to drink with invisible glass. Are you hungover? How old are you? Keiichi exaggerated his reaction, but he still seemed worried. Okay, later. I'm going back. Careful on your way home. Don't wobble into a sewer or a brook, got it? Keiichi turned around to go back to the classroom. Oh, one more thing, Kei-chan. I stopped Keiichi. He, in response, turned around. What's up? This may sound weird, but don't think too hard about it. Well, depends on what it is. Last night, near the end of the festival, did you see Tomitake-san or Takano-san anywhere? I noticed Keiichi's body tense up. His reaction proved that he felt guilty about sneaking into the ritual storehouse. He was frightened that Mio and Sonozaki might know about it. Guess this was enough to give him a certain impression of Mio and Sonozaki. You know Tomitake-san and Takano-san, don't you? You remember, Kei-chan, when the four of you were talking during setup the day before? You could clearly see how dismayed Keiichi felt. He was trying to come up with an excuse. I can't remember. I might have seen them, or not. He was both a bad liar and a bad actor. It's so funny on this side. See, because, like, from Keiichi's side, we thought that Mion was actually, like, sus and all that business. But from this side, it's like, you know, you know. Oh my gosh. Crazy. And I'm just thinking about it. And when Keiichi goes to, like, rescue Mion or whatever the heck later on, he goes back and sees somebody tied up. Or, like, in the cage, cell, whatever. and he thinks it's Shion, but it's actually Mion. Ah, okay. He wasn't really that intelligent at all. That's so mean. Well, that would make him a suitable friend for me. Oh, dude. Bro. He was just a brat, unlike Satoshi-kun. That's so mean. Stop. Although when it came to lying and acting, Satoshi-kun was about the same level. Maybe Keiichi should be credited for at least trying to tell a lie. My face when the answer art gives answers. I know, crazy, right? Maybe Keiichi should be credited for at least trying to tell a lie. Satoshi-kun wouldn't have even said a thing. Of sus, yeah. I didn't need to be thinking about him right now. I see. Then, one more question. The same night, did you see Shion? It's a very mean question. Keiichi was perplexed, as I'd expected. Didn't you ask me that yesterday? I think I told you that I wasn't sure if I had or not. Huh? I asked him that yesterday. Must have meant that Mio and Sonozaki asked him that question. In other words, she asked him that after he left the storehouse and got back together with his friends. Damn you, Mion. When I asked her, she said she had no idea where we went into the ritual storehouse. Shit. She was lying until the freaking end. Hey, Seth. How are you doing? Did you? I guess I thought I'd just get a different answer if I asked you again. Well, why are you so intent on knowing if I did or not? He was getting defensive. Keiichi couldn't hide his panic as he flared up at me. It's not important. It's just that there are some people who are speaking poorly of Tomitake-san, Takano-san, Shion, and you, Kei-chan. I didn't really hear what they were saying, though. Keiichi was really perplexed now. Gobsmacked. This wasn't fun at all, but it could still be an interesting game. Shion, you're so cruel. Oh my god. This wasn't fun, but it could be an interesting game. So you are having fun, because you're hecking lying to yourself. Alright. I don't believe that you were doing something bad. I just wanted to ask a bit about it, so I did. Sorry for making you uncomfortable, okay? I made sure Keiichi felt a sense of crisis, and then left. A sense of crisis. I made sure I traumatized them just a little bit. Nobody can tell us apart. We're Mion and Shion. Perfect twins. Page 186. That's true. I didn't think it was that true, but it is that true, because no one has freaking called her out yet. Enjoying my crayons? I'm more of a marker person than a crayon person, I'll be honest. When I returned to the Sonozaki house, I saw a woman with an apron on. It was a housekeeper. Her name was Shimiko-san. The hag had a few housekeepers who took care of the chores around the house. Ah, Mion-chan, I'm glad you're here. Hey, Shimiko-san. Can I help you? Today was her turn to come and help out at the house. She'd arrived, but the gate was locked and she couldn't get in. She'd called, but there was no answer, so she had just been standing there, not knowing what to do. Something must have happened to Granny at the festival. She's been in an evil mood ever since last night. Ah, I see. Shimiko-san tried to remember if she had done something wrong. She isn't ignoring you, she's just sleeping. She was up until very late, so I bet she can't wake up just yet. You know how she is, right? When she gets into this mood, it can take a long time for her to be happy again. Yes, that's too bad. I think it might be better for you, better that you don't show up for a while. Even if you don't mean to upset her, Granny might take it the wrong way. Just let me take care of it. I see. Are you sure? Very grateful, though. Sorry to make you do this, but could you let the other housekeepers know that they don't need to come for a while either? When Granny feels better, I give you a call. So let's just leave her alone for now. Relatable. No. You weren't here, but Granny is most surely dead, actually. She's just giving an excuse. Shimiko-san bowed and left on her bicycle. Anyone who had ever experienced Granny's wrath would understand. I headed into Mion's room, set her alarm clock for 2 p.m., and crawled into her bed. I feel like her undoing might be accidentally calling Granny the hag. Because, you know, Mion wouldn't do that. I need to recover quickly. I had to be sharp, calm, and cool-headed. School should be out by 2 p.m. Maybe get in touch with Keiichi. I have to call him. There'll also be a staff meeting at the Furude Shrine Assembly Hall in the evening. All the leaders of the 3 families, their relatives, and the town council members would gather at this meeting. They're all authority figures in Hinamizawa. I'd be attending in place of the hag, who is sick. I'd worry about the rest when I got there. People shouldn't notice that Mio and the hag were missing for a long time. I didn't need to worry, as I had plenty of time. I checked the alarm once more, then fell asleep, as if someone switched me off. I'm confused, not gonna lie. Yeah, I mean, Higurashi is very complex. For being something that takes place in one town, it gets pretty crazy, you know? Hello? Ah, this is Sonozaki. Well, the younger one. Hello. Do you have time to talk right now? Shion? Thought you'd be sleeping in today with a hangover, same as Mion. What? My sis had a hangover. That's so like her. Keiichi had no idea that the Mion he saw earlier was actually me. He didn't notice when we talked in person, so there's no way he would notice on the phone. Never knew that playing 2 roles would be so much fun. Feel such enjoyment in this game of life or death. Maybe I was getting used to the situation. Maybe my senses had gone numb. Whoops, sorry. My parents were waiting for an important call, so I can't talk for too long. What do you need? Something I wanted to talk about, but if we can't talk long, I guess that's that. And how about we meet up in person? You could show me where the library is too, that'd be great. I'm in the public library near the station? Yes, that's fine. I go past there on my way to work anyway. We decided to meet in Okinomiya. It wasn't easy to get there from Minamizawa, but I had to hurry. Couldn't run into Keiichi as he was heading there himself. I recalled that the key to the hag's motorcycle was in her secret drawer. Hag usually got driven around for public events. When she had her own errands, she rode her motorcycle. I cannot imagine that. Like a really old grandma riding a motorcycle. That would be so dangerous. Keiichi, I assumed, was going to ride his bicycle. I tried to get to Okinomiya before he did. Keiichi arrived quite a bit later than me. Motorcycles are faster, after all. They're also... Motorcycles are faster. Yep. Yeah. There were hardly any traffic lights to worry about on the way there either. Wow, Mio never keeps her appointments. I mean, honestly. Making my sister the standard for everything will get you in trouble. Hmm? You're a little unsteady. You were drinking last night too, weren't you? Don't try to hide it. You definitely went home from school early. Ah, too bad. I've been at home all day from the beginning. I'm smarter than my sis, after all. Hey now, I don't think you can call playing hooky smarter. You should finish your errand first. We don't have that much time. We're going to the library, right? Yeah, thanks. My mom had to return some books to buy today. Is the library far? No, it's right nearby. I meant it when I said we didn't have much time. I had to hurry a little. Just going to talk to him on the phone, but I ended up coming all the way to Okinomiya. After our talk, Keiichi would slowly head back to Hinamizawa on his bicycle. I have to rush back there while making sure I didn't run into him. Otherwise, I couldn't make it on time for the meeting. Grandma don't give a damn. She's badass. No, not in this context. Another context, yeah, if she weren't murdering and conniving and manipulative. But maybe I could be a little late. But since I needed to hear everything that they were going to discuss, I didn't want to be. This was the Shishibone public library. It was sizable, filled with a collection of moldy, smelly books. But they did have air conditioning, and it was quiet. It was the perfect place for when you wanted to be alone. After Satoshi-kun disappeared last year, I came here a lot to think about various things. This is where I first met Takano-san. I want to run into her with Keiichi and tell. But then I remembered that she was already dead. The first floor of the building was occupied by government offices. The library itself was on the second floor, so we had to walk up a huge staircase to get there. I tasted cool air on my skin as I walked through the automated door. Unlike outside, it was very quiet in here. Room temperature was both comfortable and suitable for books. Could smell the scent of old pages. All libraries smell the same. Keiichi walked up to the return table after he said so. Because it was a weekday, there was hardly anyone around. It really was very quiet. I was going to chat about some ordinary things, then move on to the main subject. After Keiichi returned the books, I invited him into the inner section of the library. Keiichi knew Mion well, but he didn't know me at all. She showed an interest in our life story. This was actually where Takano-san told me about the true history of Hinamizawa a year ago. I was about to tell Keiichi about the things that were very similar to that. Did God have a sense of irony? Now that you mention it, that toy store looked like it was managed by relatives as well. Does that mean they operate Angel Mart too? I told him the reason why the Sonozaki family was so powerful in this area. Assumed that since Keiichi came from the city, there was a good chance he couldn't even begin to understand how one old family could literally control an entire area. Unless I explained to him how powerful the Sonozaki family was, he wouldn't understand what kind of danger was barreling toward him. One game that would be fun to watch you play would be Class of '09. I've heard of that. I saw that title once. I have no idea what it is or what it's about or anything like that. I don't even know what kind of game it is, but I've seen it. I've seen the title. Yeah. The family was particularly strong in finance and real estate. Even a lot of members of the Chamber of Commerce and Industry either have the last name Sonozaki or are their relatives. There are Sonozakis in the city council and the prefectural assembly too. And since they have the Okinomiya area giving them strong electoral support... Wait a minute. This is all escalating pretty quickly. Your relatives operate shops in downtown Okinomiya, and they're especially strong in finance and real estate? Top of that, a lot of people in the Chamber of Commerce and Industry are relatives. There are even some elected to local offices. Keiichi counted with his fingers. He was clearly surprised to hear all that about the Sonozaki family. It seemed like he was flexible enough to accept something that sounded outrageous to him. You call it a visual novel? Well, I guess I'll have to look it up after this then, huh? I mean, if it's a visual novel that's horror, maybe I could take it. But 3D stuff, no way. Hey yo, Lavi Latte, how are you doing, huh? I think you missed all the spooky stuff. We're not really in the spooky part right now. We're in like calm before storm number 2, you know? Yeah. He was starting to understand things, although slowly. The way he viewed Shion Sonozaki was changing little by little too. That should be enough background information. Now I could go on to explain about Mion Sonozaki, the successor. Then I changed the subject, like Takano-san did with me. I go on to talk about the curse of Yashida-sama, then the series of mysterious deaths. So then, Sonozaki family, it's pretty famous in this area. Oh god! Oishi! Oishi! Oh my god. I'll gift it to you if you play it. We'll have to I'll see what it is first. I'll see what it is first. And then maybe. Yep. Crazy, isn't it? Fat man with a cigarette suddenly cut into our conversation. Oishi? Why was he here? Oh my god. If Oishi knew the amount of murders that Shion is going to commit. Well, already committed, I guess. Hello. Good afternoon. You on a date today? Oh, are you on a date today? Oh, what would I give to be a young man again? If you had thought we were on a date, then why were you bothering us? Oishi-san. What timing? Couldn't be a coincidence. Knew this man too well. He was crafty, sly, clever. His presence here just can't be a coincidence. Did he see us somewhere in town and follow us? But why? Did he need something from me, Keiichi, or perhaps the both of us? From what I could guess, I didn't think it was me that he wanted something from. It's almost like he was trying to keep Keiichi away from me. Wish he was aware I gave false testimony to protect Satoshi-kun last year. Maybe he didn't think I could talk to Keiichi if I was around. Why did Oishi need to talk to Keiichi? Must be about the incident from yesterday. I'm sure there was plenty of plainclothes officers at the festival, so they had to have seen who was last with the victims. In other words, Keiichi and me. But Oishi knew I was hard to deal with. That was why he was focusing on Keiichi at present. Why do you have to show up at a time like this? Maebara-san, right? You're one tough guy. Two-timing the Sonozaki sisters, are you? Jesus Christ. Wait. Hold on. Yeah, no. Okay, she's as Shion right now, so... Okay, yeah. No, I'm not two-timing anyone. Keiichi looked at me, hoping for assistance. He blushed. The way he panicked reminded me of Satoshi-kun. That aside, this wasn't going well. Oishi might even start talking about my relationship with Satoshi-kun. I didn't want him to, nor did I want Keiichi to have any preconceptions. Oishi took a quick glance at me. His eyes told me something. Purposefully trying to talk about the things I'd rather not talk about. He's basically telling me to leave, or to continue on to something that was worse than what they were currently talking about. He didn't use words, but his eyes clearly communicated that anyway. Damn the big fat weasel. Dang. Like Dr. D the two... What? Nah, I don't understand that reference, if you're making one. I'm sorry, Kate. I'm sorry, Kei-chan. I really do need to get to my job. Huh? Oh, you do? I realized that I wouldn't achieve anything like this, even if I stayed longer, so I used my part-time jobs as an excuse to leave. Oishi looked at me and grinned. Damn it. He wins. He won today, but I'll win next time. Wait, didn't you have something to talk about today, Shion? Yep, I'll see you later. Oh, I'll give you a call after I'm done. It'll be okay to call at night, right? Yeah, probably okay. I'll talk to you later, night. Bye. Can't believe Oishi did that. Literally. It's not really a cock block, but it's like a brain block. Information being blocked out because of this. She's not a knower. I know, God. Oh, heck. I skipped one. Yeah. The Hag's motorcycle had become my primary means of transportation. My next stop was the staff meeting at the Furude Shrine's assembly hall. It was easy to imagine how a normal meeting would play out if it was just celebrating the end of what's Nagashi. Today's staff meeting was likely going to be as strained as the Sonozaki family councils. Yes, the staff meeting was going to deal with the heart of Hinamizawa. Couldn't let my guard down, even for a moment. I rested for a while at the house, and then left the meeting. Left for the meeting, not the meeting. I walked up the long stairs to the Furude Shrine. At the top, I saw some elderly men smoking in front of the hall. Since they had a minor fire a long time ago, it had been made into a non-smoking area. Is that Mion-chan? The head of the Kimiyoshi family, Uncle Kimiyoshi, noticed me and waved. Was not expected Mion to come alone. Normally it would have been either the hag by herself, or Mion tagging along as an assistant. Granny's been in a terrible mood since the incident last night. She's been staying in bed and won't even let me get near her. They all understood how troublesome she was when she was in a bad mood. Smiled bitterly in sympathy. So you're here as the Sonozaki family representative then? Has Odio-san told you anything? Sort of. What do you mean, has Odio-san told you anything? That line by itself didn't really explain much. Staff meeting was usually led by the mayor, the head of the Kimiyoshi family. And he'd ask me, as the substitute for a Sonozaki family head, if I heard anything from her. And I realized he was supposed to lead today's staff meeting. Kimiyoshi-san. Do I really have to lead the meeting today? According to the ranking order at the family councils, any substitute for the Sonozaki family head is above the Kimiyoshi family head. In other words, I'd have to lead today's meeting. There's no way I could do that. Don't worry, I'll do it. You can just take a seat, Mion-chan. If there's something you've heard from Odio-san, just let us know, okay? Kimiyoshi-san, why don't we get started? Everyone's here now. Smokers put out their cigarettes and went back into the hall. Tables were set in a horseshoe shape, and I was told to sit next to the chair reserved for the chief. The seat opposite of mine was empty. Considering its location, it was probably for the Furude family head, Rika Furude. Somebody had said earlier that everybody was already here. Either Rika-chama had called in absent. The empty seat was just a formality. Knowing the subject of this meeting, I don't think that the Furuta family head would even want to attend. Even if Rikachama actually attended, she wouldn't be able to say anything. All she'd usually do at the Sonozaki family councils was draw pictures on a notepad. She'd probably end up drawing pictures in this meeting too. Besides, he probably didn't want her to hear anything unpleasant. In this way, the empty Furuta family seat was easily explained. When everyone was seated, the head of the Women's Association served tea. She gave me an evil look, trying to tell me to help out. I got up and did so. After that, everyone fell quiet, and the secretary stood up. Everyone, thank you for coming today on such short notice, despite your busy schedules. Let's start with a few words from the mayor. Go ahead, please. Please excuse me for staying seated. Gen-chan, you stay seated too. Thank you all for coming today. Also, you all did a great job at Watanagashi yesterday. Festival was a great success, as usual. There weren't any mishaps. Lots of villagers came, and I believe it went great, on the whole. Let me see. How many people was it? According to the Imperial General Headquarters report, approximately 5,000 people showed up. Everyone laughed except me. I hope we'll continue to work together and carry on this tradition. Appreciate your cooperation. Clap, 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 clap. An applause with only 8 people doesn't sound so great. Okay, let's move on to today's proceedings. Kimiyoshi-san will lead the meeting today. Please applaud if you approve. Clap, clap, clap. 5,000? No way. Yeah, 5,000 seems like a lot. Like a lot, a lot. I don't think there's any way it could be 5,000. But it is like the whole village plus people from the outside. But yeah, 5,000 is hard to comprehend. I'd say 3,000 at the most, but thank you. Then, with your approval, Mayor Kimiyoshi will take over. Please go ahead. Thank you, Ken-chan. Let's start now. Oh, sorry. Could you close the curtains? Everyone closed the curtains nearest to them. The sun was still up. With all the curtains closed, the room became very dark. The village chief explained the details of the incident, as well as what went on with the police. Police vehicle discovered Tomitaka-san's body on its way back to Okinomiya last night. Oshi's special curse unit was standing by, expecting something to happen for a 5th time, so they responded quickly. Since Tomitaka-san and Takano-san were rarely apart, Oishi got in touch with the neighboring prefectural police departments and asked them to look for her. As a result, they found a burned body of a woman in the mountains of the Gifu prefecture, and the body was then identified as Mio Takano. Considering the circumstances, the police ended up labeling the incident as the 5th of the ongoing series of mysterious deaths. When he finished, there was dead silence. I waited to see who would speak first. Nobody said a thing. Then, I noticed Kimiyoshi-san looking at me. Ah, this is where the head of the Sonozaki family would speak. Mion-chan, does Oryo send anything about this whole thing? Everyone looked in my direction. I was sure they could see the hag in me. I'm Mion Sonozaki, acting head of the Sonozaki family. I'm here in place of Oryo, the current head. Thank you for having me. I became Mion. I tried to become as cold and unfeeling as the Mion I witnessed a year ago. That cold version of Mion was inside of me. That was me. I was her. Fortunately, the curse of Yashu-sama has come to pass for the 5th time. It is deeply regretful. Everyone was held captive by my words. I wasn't a little girl anymore. The hag was speaking through my mouth. They all heard me and trembled in fear. Does anyone know why the curse happened again this year? After my question, everyone whispered to each other. I will tell you. It's because they broke the rule of the ritual storehouse and desecrated the sacred ground within. How dare they! A few elderly men got up and yelled. The fools! Can't believe this! Hydrate. Thank you! I have this giant thing of water here that I've barely taken any sips out of. Ah. Thank you. They deserve to be killed. Oh Yashiro-sama, please calm your anger. Oh my, how did this happen? Oh Yashiro-sama. This is why we hate outsiders. They just don't think. They're just too stupid. They got what they deserved. It was their own fault. Jesus Christ. The angry old men yelled, even as they trembled in fear. Sudden change scared me more than a little. Even Uncle Kimiyoshi, who's usually so gentle and sweet, became like a demon of war, cursing those who broke the rule of the ritual storehouse. Become like a raging ocean inside the assembly hall. Their yells spun about like a whirlpool. They roared, crashed, and howled. Even while doing nothing but watch, I could feel myself turning pale. No one threatened me yesterday, because I had been shocked this morning. What I saw before me was similar to that. Even the sweet and gentle Uncle Kimiyoshi was saying they deserved to die. I was fearful of the sudden change in those elderly men. More than anything, the fact that they believed those people deserved to die for trespassing is what terrified me. It wasn't just that, of course. The real thing I was scared of is that I was one of the people they wanted dead. In other words, it's almost like they were telling me to die of the curse. If they were to find out I snuck to the ritual storehouse, it's very possible that they would strangle me on the spot. Actually, they might not kill me that easily. By then, I was certain people in this room were true believers in Oyashiro-sama, just like the hag. They wouldn't hesitate to murder whoever made Oyashiro-sama angry on his behalf. When they didn't carry out this killing themselves, they would pretend they didn't see anything. Yes, not even if my head was cut off right in front of them. Everyone here would act in collusion, say I never attended today. If they all testified that they waited and I didn't show, I'd be demoned away. It'd be far too easy for them to erase someone and have them disappear. There was no mistake. People linking the hag and the curse were definitely here at this meeting. I continued speaking. I was Mion Sonozaki. I was on the side responsible for the curse. Therefore, at that moment, I didn't need to worry about anything. Nobody could tell the difference between Mion and me. That's what would keep me safe. Please, be silent. Hey! Quiet down! Uncle Kimiyoshi helped me to quiet everyone, but his tone was violent. It really scared me. Everyone gradually became silent. In fact, it was 4 people who snuck into the storehouse. 2 more remain. People once more became restless upon hearing that. But Uncle Kimiyoshi yelled at them again, and they settled down. Tomitake-san and Takano-san were old enough to be made responsible for their own poor judgment. As a result, the curse of Yoshiro-sama fell upon them immediately. The other 2 were simply children. The curse has yet to fall upon them, but there will be some kind of punishment. Everyone stayed quiet that time. They all turned genuinely pale, trying not to miss a word I said. For all, they were thinking that the kids I mentioned could be their own relatives, or even grandchildren. They wanted to know who they were, to put their minds at ease. The other 2 who snuck into the ritual storehouse were Shion Sonozaki and Keiichi Maebara. She's just straight up telling them, literally using them as freaking bait. I could feel the air getting drier. It was so dry, it almost felt like it was going to start making a crackling noise. Shion Sonozaki has already... I couldn't even hear the old people breathe. I took a peek at Uncle Kimiyoshi, who was sitting next to me. He'd adored Shion if she were his own granddaughter. She had been demoned away. I wanted to see how distressed and sad he'd look. When I saw his face, I felt a sensation on my back, so my skin itself was making a crackling noise. He didn't even have an expression on his face. Uncle Kimiyoshi adored me. I loved him, and thought he loved me too. That's why I expected him to be saddened after learning that I met such a cruel fate. What was I thinking? The memory of his warm smile shattered inside of me. There's no way of describing the fear I experienced in that moment. In mere words, it suddenly changed into someone I didn't even recognize. Uncle Kimiyoshi noticed me looking at him and spoke. What about Keiichi Maebara? Not yet. I had to take a deep breath to regain my composure. All 4 snuck into the ritual storehouse will suffer at the curse of Oyashiro-sama. Keiichi Maebara is no exception. Chilling looks, cruel looks, emotionless looks, shrewd looks, looks of people who are about to snap. I could feel the demons chewing my words while they stared at me with their sharp eyes. I could see some of them sticking their snake-like tongues in and out. I could see flames in some of their eyes. They were memorizing the names of the intruder the curse had yet to fall upon. And so, the meeting went on. We were told not to tell the police too much, to report what they asked us, to hold another meeting whenever something of significance happened. Something unexpected took place. We were to get in touch with either the head of the Kimiyoshi family or the head of the Sonozaki family for instructions on what to do. Those closing remarks, the meeting was over. Wow. She literally just said his name and was like, yep, he hasn't been punished yet. You guys know what to do. Wink. You know? It was already getting dark outside. Being in a valley surrounded by mountains, once the sun went down in Himizawa, it got dark quickly. Even if it was hot during the day, it cooled down quickly at night. The elderly people said goodbye to each other, left on their bicycles, on their motorcycles, or in their cars. Uncle Kimiyoshi waved them goodbye, started to head home himself. Called out to him, Kimiyoshi-san, do you have plans after this? I called him Kimiyoshi-san instead of Uncle Kimiyoshi. He stopped. No, I don't have anything planned. Can you stop by my house? Does Oreo want to see me? Yes. She wants to talk to you about something in person. Okay, I'll stop by. Oh, is she gonna do another murder? Go Kimiyoshi arrived at the Sonozaki house. He often came to this house to have a secret meeting with the hag, so he wasn't suspicious at all. I invited Uncle Kimiyoshi into the living room, served him a cup of tea, told him I was going to fetch the hag, left the room and killed some time down the hallway. Granny will be here after she gets dressed. She might take a little while. Oh, that's okay. I'll just wait. Uncle Kimiyoshi relaxed as he sipped his cup of tea. I sat next to him. I think she wants to talk to you about Shion. I mentioned my name and watched for his reaction. Uncle Kimiyoshi looked so grim. Couldn't even tell if he heard me. So I had to continue speaking until he reacted in some way. Remember the incident from last year with Shion, yes? She became friendly with people of the HEWWO family. She was forgiven after ripping out her nails, wasn't she? Yes. 3 nails. And Kimiyoshi folded his arms and thought for a while. Where is Shion-chan now? In the basement. How's she doing? Uncle Kimiyoshi sounded worried. When I heard that, I felt relieved that Uncle Kimiyoshi was on my side. His anger in the assembly hall was just an act. She had been crying. Mion-chan, tell me, what is Oreo-san going to do with Shion-chan? She hasn't told me any details. As you know, Granny becomes awfully quiet when she is truly furious. Going to the ritual storehouse, huh? Furthermore, it's her own granddaughter. It's a tough decision to make. Uncle Kimiyoshi thought that the hag must be unsure of what to do with Shion. What do you think? What do you think will happen to Shion? Well, I'm sure it'll be far more than just 3 nails this time. Knowing how Oreo-san is, she won't hold back just because it's her granddaughter. Actually, she might even be more harsh, especially because they're related. Yes, she did go into the ritual storehouse. It's not something that can be forgiven so easily. Indeed. It's sacred after all. But in a way, maybe it's not fair to Shion. She has been away from Hinizawa, as you know. I'm sure she knew she wasn't supposed to trespass in the ritual storehouse. Maybe she didn't know how forbidden it was. I'm so lost in the sauce. Okay, TLDR. Sonozaki family is leader of village. Village has religion of Oyashiro-sama. Some people went and desecrated holy ground, and they got quote-unquote punished by some sort of supernatural entity or people. We don't really know yet. Yeah, that's kind of it. And our POV right now is one of the twins that is associated with the family. And she's like, we need to expose all the wrongdoings. So she just murdered. She murdered the leader and is holding her sister captive. And she's feigning as her sister, being like, yes, they did horrible things. Yes, everything's fine. So, yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. I'm sure she knew she wasn't supposed to trespass in the ritual storehouse. Maybe she didn't know how forbidden it was. Yeah, that's true. Poor Shion-chan. Other than that tattoo on my back, how could you tell the difference between Shion and me? There isn't one. There's no point in distinguishing between Mion and Shion in the first place. Twins are proof of bad luck. One should be eliminated as soon as they are born. Such as the family precept. The hag actually put her hands around my neck right after I came out of the womb. That's how the story went, at least. In the end, the hag didn't kill me, and instead pretended I didn't exist. She forced herself to call one of us Mion and the other Shion. She adored Mion and hated Shion. Her sister and I never understood why we had to go through that. We didn't care who was Mion or Shion. So one day we came up with an idea. We decided to share the joy Mion experienced and the sadness Shion experienced. Often switched places. We were both Mion, and at the same time, we were both Shion. Those around us tried to put different clothes on us or style our hair differently so they could tell us apart. That was nonsense. No matter what they did to us, all we had to do was switch places, and nobody could tell us apart. Finally, they decided that we switched places because we were always together. On that day, Shion got to go to an amusement park. Since then, we've been separated. Mion-chan. Can't even imagine what will happen to Shion. Whatever it is Granny decides to do, I'm not in a position to say anything about it. She doesn't listen to her relatives. You're right. Something Odio-san needs to work on. If Shion wasn't Shion Sonozaki, she would have been dead a long time ago. Can't even begin to imagine what kind of punishment might be equal to death. Even if she isn't killed, she'll probably never see the light of day again. In other words, she'll be demoned away. Mion-chan. Does Shion-chan regret what she has done? Yes. In response, Uncle Kimiyoshi tapped my shoulder and then slapped his own chest. He smiled reliably. Don't worry. If Shion-chan feels bad about what she has done, she won't be demoned away. Leave it to me. Really? I'm sure Odio-san will be furious to hear me say anything, but I won't give up. I'll explain to her that Shion-chan regrets what she has done, and I'll beg for her forgiveness. Tears began to fall from my eyes. I knew it. Uncle Kimiyoshi was my ally after all. He said he would forgive Shion. He was my ally. I was so very happy. Are you sure? Are you sure she won't be demoned away like Satoshi Hojo-kun was last year? Uncle Kimiyoshi smiled reliably again and told me. He was a brat of the Hojo family. It's the Shio-chan of the Sonozaki family we're talking about here. Of course she'll be forgiven. Huh? Oh god, she's gonna snap. She's gonna snap. She's gonna snap. She's gonna snap. A brat of the Hojo family? Are you talking about Satoshi-kun? Last year's victim? Those Hojo people. They were traitors who tried to sell out the whole village. Of course he got demoned away. He was a Hojo after all. Huh? 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 The Hojo people should all be cursed. Only people like them get demoned away. Shion-chan will be okay. Won't happen to someone like her. Uncle, didn't Shion take care of that for Satoshi-kun last year? Wasn't he supposed to be forgiven? Take care of that? What do you mean? Remember the 3 nails? She removed 3 of her nails. Kasai-san, Uncle Yoshiro, and then Satoshi-kun. 3 people. She removed 3 nails for 3 people. Huh? So that was why it was 3 nails, huh? Huh? What? Wasn't that the significance of those 3 nails? Yeah, you're right. There were 3 people involved, hence the 3 nails. I heard that too. But what? Kasai-san, Yoshiro-san, and Shion-chan. That makes 3. Oh. Satoshi wasn't included in the forgiveness. What? Oh, God. Huh? What? Huh? What? I endured excruciating pain. The first one was my left pinky, then the ring finger, then the middle finger. People held me down so I couldn't move. But I endured. I had to endure 3 nails. I didn't know which nail was for Satoshi-kun. My middle finger was for Satoshi-kun. I'd have to endure until the middle finger was done, so that Satoshi-kun would be forgiven. That was why I endured. Even Mion said afterwards, everything was forgiven. Huh? Huh? Mion, didn't you say Satoshi-kun was forgiven? Didn't you? That's what I heard. I think that's what I heard. Or did I? Felt the air move. Shouldn't have been a breeze in that room, but I felt it anyway. Killer stroked the back of my neck. That was when my true self stood right behind me and nodded. Though there was no wind, my hair billowed. The burning wickedness buried deep inside my eyes became visible. Why do you think Satoshi Hojo-kun got demoned away? Huh? Satoshi-kun's parents did in fact try to sell out the village. They deserve the curse of Yashida-sama. But oh wait, this is shion. They deserve the curse of Yashida-sama, but Satoshi-kun was simply their son. What has he done? Mion-chan? I'm asking you what kind of crime Satoshi-kun committed. You said earlier that he deserved to be demoned away because he was born of the Hojo family. What has he done to deserve being demoned away? Kimiyoshi didn't know what to say to the sudden question. He seemed dismayed. I didn't hear her say it, but I know. It was Odio Sonozaki's decision. She decided that the curse of Oyashiro-sama's would fall upon the Hojos. Wait. Mion-chan. Oh! Wait, I didn't hear her say it, but I know. It was Odio's decision. Oh, okay. Wait, Mion-chan, that's not true. Didn't she decide that? No, she didn't. Curse of Yashida-sama falling upon the Hojo family. I do remember talking about something like that, but we never decided that. Nobody did. Then, why did you say, because he was one of the Hojos earlier? Sorry, Mion-chan. That was... You know, I shouldn't have said that. I'm sorry. Oh god, what? That's just it. Anything that happens to the Hojo family is the curse. As long as someone has the Hojo name, nobody cares about what happens to that person. The idea has spread like a virus amongst all the villagers. Doesn't matter if Satoshi-kun did anything or not. Because he was a Hojo, he was filthy. That infection of an idea is the entire problem. And you all believed in that idea. You couldn't even think straight anymore. I can't forgive you. I can't let someone like you exist. People like you cornered Satoshi-kun and his family. Poor Satoshi-kun. What has he done? He hasn't done anything. He was a Hojo, that's all. What kind of crime is that? Why did the curse fall upon him? What kind of crime has he committed? What? What? Kimiyoshi's upper body bent backward and fell onto the floor. That was that. Oh, the shion. Put my stun gun back in my pocket. Okay. The bodies are piling up. Sorry, Shion. What was that you just said? Apparently Takano-san and Tomitaka-san died last night. Takano-san was found burned to death. Tomitaka-san was, well, it looked like a suicide. Found out this morning. My father talking to a relative on the phone about it. So I thought Keiichi didn't know anything about what happened after the festival last night. Of course, it's not getting reported by the media. It's how it was in the past, too. Keiichi insisted that unless he heard about it on the news, it couldn't be real. But the investigations into the series of mysterious deaths are done in secret now. Of course he didn't hear about it on the news. Here the mayor and several important politicians from the Sonozaki family put all the pressure they could on the police. Then you mean their deaths are going to be dealt with in total secrecy? That's how it is. Of course, the police are still investigating. It's being performed in secret too. Though, so I hear the investigation itself is very restricted on what it can and can't do. You could essentially say that they're interfering with police investigation. I can't believe this. People died, and they're dealing with everything in secret? If we break it down further, it means that no matter who dies on the night of Watsunagashi, it won't go public. That's the biggest pile of bullshit I've ever heard! Kei-chan, remember how I said before that the villagers could be the ones carrying out Oyashiro-sama's curse? That's what I mean. At some point, a tradition was created here in Hinamizawa, where every year you're allowed to kill someone on the night of Watsunagashi. Yes, that's the truth about the series of mysterious deaths in Hinamizawa, also known as Oyashiro-sama's curse. On the day of Watanagashi, 2 people will be killed. Perpetrators are using the curse of Oyashiro-sama as an excuse to kill one victim and make another disappear. That's why the curse of Oyashiro-sama takes place. That's what happens in Hinamizawa, and that's what happens with the curse. What Kimiyoshi said is all true. Infecting everyone with the idea that the enemy from the dam conflict deserved to die was the root of all of this. That was the system of vague commands used in the Sonozaki family, created by its head, Oryo. One thing that must be mentioned about that command system is the person giving the orders and the one executing them didn't need to interact in any way. Though Oryo was the commander, she never gave actual orders. She only had to expect something to happen. Every single one of the family council members around her would want to satisfy that expectation if given the chance. They didn't have to be proactive about satisfying it. They could be passive too. When the chance arose, anyone who knew Orio's intentions could potentially become the one to execute her orders. Therefore, Oryo would never know who actually executed her order, and none of the relatives knew it either. But they all knew things would conclude just as Oryo wanted, and they could assume it was one of their own who did it for her. This passive support system was thoroughly effective, and it spread all over the village. Its ties became even tighter after the dam conflict. Anyone who could be the one to execute Orio's orders. Therefore, everyone supported each other. If someone did something, then the others would try to satisfy Orio's expectation in different ways. For example, they'd come up with false evidence or otherwise passively interfere with an investigation. Even if they didn't know exactly who they were protecting, they'd still work together to protect whoever it was. Yes, I had finally figured out how it all worked. Phrased in a more organized manner, it would go as follows. The system of killing 2 people who are unwanted by the village each year required 3 elements. First element was a region of solidarity. It was created during the long and unique history of Hinamizawa. Villagers' bonds became even tighter during the dam conflict. That was one of the conditions for this place to have a curse. It was an element that was already in the region, not one that could be created. Next element was having the same moral standards. It's a very important element, as the curse wouldn't have happened without it. Also, this element was created by Oryo Sonozaki herself, and that was why she could claim that the system was established by her own will. Having the same moral standards means that everyone everywhere acknowledges the same enemy. Even when everyone in the village joined together, it would be meaningless if they didn't all know exactly who the enemy was. During the dam conflict, Oryo Sonozaki made the identity of the enemy very clear to everyone. They couldn't just say that they were against the dam construction and that the government was their enemy. That wasn't clear enough. The government didn't really pinpoint who the enemy was. But Oryo made enemies out of the construction site itself, and therefore its manager. She chose targets that the villagers could see with their own eyes. They were clear and easy to understand. Villagers acknowledged that everyone at the dam construction site was their enemy. That construction site manager was the enemy commander. Using the same method, she labeled one after another as an enemy of the village, practically cataloging a list of enemies to print into the villagers' minds. Earlier, I had used the term infecting for this phenomenon. Those infected by this idea were the people unconsciously giving the orders to commit murder. When the infection spread across the village, when all of Hinamizawa's residents acknowledged the same enemy, that's when Hinamizawa itself became a murderer. Oryo combined those 2 elements, solidarity region and having the same moral standards, selected the enemy, and spread the notion throughout the village. The law would normally have punished both the one who committed the crime and the one who gave the order, but Oryo's system didn't require an order at all. Oryo just had to become concerned about the enemy she had pre-selected. But that alone wouldn't cause the curse to take place. Oryo's concern was like a safety device. Even when the safety device was off, the curse wouldn't occur unless there was a finger to pull the trigger. Last necessary element was to set a date for the execution, the night of Watanagashi. The night to venerate Oyashiro-sama, the guardian deity of Hinamizawa. On that night, the curse of Oyashiro-sama falls upon 2 enemies of the village, and they disappear. Everyone in the village acknowledges that as a fact. In other words, if the same incident took place on any of the other 364 nights of the year, it would be nothing other than a murder case. But if it happened on the night of Watanegashi, it would transform into the curse of Yashiro-sama. The idea that the villagers allowed to kill their enemies on the night of Watanegashi had infected them. The villagers were the cells of this huge creature called Hinamizawa, and each cell would be taught who the enemy was. Set date was practically a green light for whoever was in the best position to kill the enemy. That was the truth of the curse of Yashiro-sama. Therefore, the one who actually killed Satoshi-kun isn't my enemy. The one who set up this murderous system, and the one who named Satoshi-kun's family as the enemy, is my enemy. Here's a broader definition. Hinamizawa itself, and the very system of Yashiro-sama's curse, is my enemy. I already killed the hag, the one who designed the system. Kimiyoshi, the one whose job it is to infect the villagers with the system, was already in my hands. I just had to find out who else was involved, and how much. It's like pulling a weed while being very careful not to break its roots. I announced that Keiichi Maebara was one of the people who snuck into the shrine storage. I was certain that fact already spread throughout the underside of the village. In other words, Keiichi Maebara was an object of the curse of Yashiro-sama now. Takano-san and Tomitake-san were found dead, having been killed in gruesome ways. That was the curse of Yashiro-sama. In that case, they could demon away 2 more people as sacrifices to calm the anger of Yashiro-sama. The set date for the curse was already over. Just like what happened to Satoshi-kun, demoning away was allowed a little extra time. Something that would happen to Keiichi Maebara within a few days. I'd wait patiently, careful not to let my enemy simply take Keiichi Maebara, my bait. Keiichi had been yelling on the other end of the phone for some time. He kept yelling that he didn't want to go into the ritual storehouse to begin with. He claimed he was simply invited by Takano-san and me. He shouldn't be in danger because of that, he said. He was feeling a sense of crisis and tension. This was going to work. The livelier the bait, the easier it is to spot. Jesus, that is so horrible. Hold on. I actually need freaking water. Rejuvenation. This really is the Shion Sucks arc. I don't know. Is it a Shion Sucks arc or is it a Shion Revenge arc? Huh? Retroactive hydrate. Oh, I get a bonus one though. Let's go. Why the hell did you do that? I didn't have anything to do with this. What will you do? What are you going to do, damn it? How are you going to take responsibility for this? Huh? Hey, are you listening? Shut up. I've heard enough of your pitiful tears. I hung up the phone. There's no point in talking to him when he got like that. Besides, I already achieved my goal, just to make him realize the danger awaiting him. Took a deep breath, called the house of the village chief. Hello. Kimiyoshi residence. This is Sonozaki. So, did you find the mayor? Oh, it's you, Mio-chan. We've been calling everyone, but no luck. Can't find him. I don't know who else to call. Wonder where he is. We've called a few places too, but nothing. Talked to Granny and she says we should have the youth group look for him. At this time of day? Besides, we aren't even sure if he's really missing. It's right after Watanegashi. She just thinks we should be cautious. The youth group can't find him. We should call the police first thing in the morning. I'd rather not get the police involved unless we really have to, though. Did Oreo-san say that? Yes. If you don't believe me, I'll have to get her on the phone. Oh, no. I understand. Okay, we'll gather the youth group and look for them. For him. If they can't find him, we'll call the police in the morning. Please call the leader of the youth group, then. I'll be right over in Granny's place. Thank you. I'll get everyone together right away. Okay. See you later. Youth group had gathered at the Furude Shrine. They were going to try and find the mayor. I also had to go, in the absence of the hag. Just to be mean, I stopped by the underground torture room to let the mayor know that I was headed to the Furude Shrine to search for him. That is so funny. Just to be mean. Hey, I'm gonna go look for you now. Hope I find some luck. Oh my gosh. Incidentally, according to the tab on the keychain, this underground torture room was actually called the Underground Storehouse for Ritual Implements. This was the man who was yelling that whoever trespassed on the ritual storehouse should be killed. Though it was an underground ritual storehouse, he was there now, atoning for what he had done. It's pretty ironic. Maybe I was the only one who felt that way, though. She found him! Yay! Yeah, now she just has to tell everyone. Which she won't. How are you doing, Uncle Kimiyoshi? Clink. Kimiyoshi didn't say a word. Then it made a noise with the chain. Everyone's making such a fuss because they can't find you. Your family called me, so I suggested they gather the youth group to look for you. I'm heading over there now. Was this mean? Or what? She's just bragging about it to us, the freaking readers. Kimiyoshi could only make a noise with the chain. Couldn't even express any emotion other than anguish. Is the chain too short? I don't want to make it longer every time you give me an answer to a question. If it's even a little longer, you'll feel better. Kimiyoshi's hands were tied behind his back with a tight wire. He was wearing a leather collar with a chain, which was strapped tightly around his neck too. The collar's chain was on a pulley attached to the ceiling, with the chain pulling him up toward it. The chain was very short and pulled very tight. Kimiyoshi had to stand on his tiptoes to be able to breathe. Dang! That's pretty rough. I've been like that for almost an hour already. I was already exhausted. If I left him overnight, he'd probably end up hanging himself. Told me earlier that you didn't know, but I'll ask you one more time. Please tell me anything you know about Satoshi Hojo-kun. Oh, sorry. You can't even talk, can you? I'll loosen the chain a little while we chat, then. Turn the pulley just a little to loosen the chain that was pulling on Kimiyoshi's neck. Kimiyoshi's heels finally touched the ground, relieving the pressure on his muscles. I really don't know, Shion-chan. I really don't. Don't you even know if he's dead or alive? I really don't know anything. Well, I guess that's how the curse system of Higurashi works. It's possible you really don't know anything. Okay, then I'll change the question. As the head of Kimiyoshi family, I would like you to tell me what you think has happened to Satoshi-kun. Is Satoshi-kun dead? Or alive? Kimiyoshi didn't know what to say. He said he didn't know. I tightened the chain and leave the room. That would be like a death sentence for him. But all I said is I wanted him to speak as the head of Kimiyoshi family. I didn't ask him to tell the truth. He didn't know what to say to avoid souring my mood and to get me to loosen the chains around him. He was obviously trying to figure out how to make me extend the chain. I've heard the rumor that he may be alive. Ah, about him going to Tokyo on a bullet train, right? The police have seen him in Tokyo, or something like that. I wish he had told me that Satoshi-kun had been witnessed getting on a bullet train heading to Tokyo and at Nagoya Station. But the police didn't know if that really happened, or what became of Satoshi-kun after that. Therefore, this was a simple random assertion of Kimiyoshi's. Hey, head of the Kimiyoshi family, what would be the point of letting one of the cursed family members live after going through the trouble of making him disappear? I don't think there's any reason for that. Besides, who gave you this information? I was in close contact with Oishi for a while, but he never mentioned it to me. Uncle? If you're just saying that to make me happy, it's not going to work. You know that, don't you? I reached for the pulley controlling the chains around Kimiyoshi. And that act alone sent him panicking as he feared them tightening once more. Sorry, I'm not trying to make you angry, Shion-chan. I'm sorry. I don't have time for this. I'm simply asking you to help me look for Satoshi-kun, that's all. I know that. I'll answer you. Took my hand off the pulley. Seeing that, Kimiyoshi began making loud groaning noises, trying to show that he was thinking hard. Be frank with me. Do you think he's alive? Or dead? I think you shouldn't think he's alive. Well, that kind of gives the answer, doesn't it? That figures. There's no point in letting him live, right? I agree with you. I really didn't mean anything too deep by it. What I said truly scared Kimiyoshi. The police think he ran using the money he saved to buy Satoko's birthday present, because he was the main suspect of his aunt's murder. What do you think about that? Well, I heard that the culprit was some kind of drug addict. What do you think about that? Maybe I shouldn't say this, but I believe Satoshi-kun is the culprit. The drug addict was probably a decoy the hag arranged. I've suspect as much. Guy appeared out of nowhere. Didn't understand it at the time. So he was a decoy. I'm pretty sure. What do you think about that, though? Why do you think that, though? Police were investigating the case, and Satoshi-kun was their primary suspect, wasn't he? If he was going to be demoned away, she didn't want the police to continue the investigation, I guess. Kimiyoshi just said is very interesting. He's perfectly correct. The police continue their investigation, complicate things for whoever demoned away Satoshi-kun. Therefore, the hack came up with a decoy in order to bring an end to the investigation. But fabricating a suspect can't be that easy, don't you agree? The only person who can do things like that is Odio-san. I knew the hag was very powerful on the underside of Hinamisawa. I never knew she was that powerful. I'm sure you've heard quite a few rumors during the dam conflict. Didn't you also hear things directly? During the dam protests, I actually saw them issuing orders to my relatives, like, destroy their heavy machinery, or we set up a checkpoint to blockade their construction vehicles. They set free their comrades from the police by coming up with alibis, destroying or forging evidence. I'd seen relatives do those things, as well as the hag calling in counselors to the house to protest. As a child, I was pretty impressed. When I thought back, it was more than that. She was truly the mastermind who controlled the underside of the world. You've heard about the kidnapping case of the grandson of the Minister of Construction, right? So it was really kidnapping, huh? I heard the grandson was demoned away, and then found in the middle of the mountains in Takatsudo or Yagochi. That was at Odio's command. The minister promised to stop the dam construction, and the grandson was released. All the top people in the ex-guardians know that. I guess I was right in the middle of it when it was happening, but I didn't notice. The hag, 3 families, and the ex-guardians are truly magnificent, huh? How terrifying. Kimiyoshi finally realized the situation he was in, and he was answering my questions. That made me happy. But the more Kimiyoshi told me the truth, the more I realized Satoshi-kun was really dead, and that made me very sad. Who actually demoned away Satoshi-kun? I don't know. We were never to ask who actually executed Odio-san's orders. He was right. That was how the system worked. And so, that was a bad question. Whoever it was did a great job, because his body's never been found. That's not easy. Putting aside who actually killed him, it is possible that Odio-san has helped to get rid of the body. You know about the well farther down from here, the one used to dump bodies, don't you? Oh god. I swear if Satoshi is down there, that would be absolutely horrible. Yeah, I do. Thought safer to dump a body in the well than to bury it somewhere in the mountains. Time to go digging. I know, right? It's so sad that he's actually dead. I don't know why, like, I thought that maybe he, cause like, demoned away, you know? I'm like, he's out there somewhere, right? But apparently not. Whoever disappears becomes a sacrifice to calm the anger of Yashida-sama. That was a rule of this game. Therefore, the bodies must never be discovered. That's why the bodies had to be dumped somewhere nobody could find them. It's very possible that the well was used for that. Then, Satoshi-kun is at the bottom of that well. And she just tossed the granny in there on top of him. Oh, wow. I grabbed a flashlight and headed to the huge cave with all the cells. As I turned on the lights in the cave, Mio noticed me and gave me a worried look. I ignored her and headed to the cell in the back. I was still very impressed by how well that it was hidden. It was almost artistic. I shone the flashlight at the bottom of the well. I had no way of knowing how deep the well was. The light of the flashlight wasn't strong enough to reach the bottom. I inhaled and screamed into the well. Satoshi-kun! Satoshi-kun! Satoshi-kun's name echoed again and again. It was obviously a very deep well. I thought of climbing down using the wedges on the wall. The flashlight hanging from my neck. I couldn't light my footing properly. Even if there was enough lighting, I didn't know if the wedges were sturdy enough. It'd be like committing suicide. Satoshi-kun was at the bottom of this well. That's when I felt it. A worn hand rubbed my head. for sure. Shion, you finally found me. Oh no. Satoshi-kun, Satoshi-kun, Satoshi-kun. I've been looking for you for so long. I'm sorry I couldn't find you while you were still alive. Sorry, I'm sorry. It's not your fault, Shion. There's nothing you could have done before I was killed. But you did everything you could. You could do after I was dead. Satoshi-kun, I want to join you. I'm coming right now. I'm going to jump, so please catch me. Satoshi-kun smiled bitterly. I was saddened to see him reject me. Shion, I'm happy that you found me. But you are alive, Shion. It's so important to be alive. You can't waste it. If you aren't here, then I don't want to live. I want to be with you, Satoshi-kun. I want to be close to you. I want you to rub my head again. I want to spend time with you. I'll be- oh, don't say that. I'll be a good girl. I'll want to be with you. Live. Do I have to? Live and enjoy your life, okay? What's so fun about living alone? You'll find out, so as long as you're alive. To live, I will live. I will live. The eerie well now felt warm. I wasn't allowed to go down to the bottom, but the edge of this well is the place where you and I could meet. What the heck? What the heck? Mion. Satoshi-kun, I found him. He's at the bottom of the well, isn't he? I think so. I can't think of anywhere else he'd be. Oh my god, so freaking... Oh my god. Mion knew where he was the whole hecking time, and she just didn't say anything. She just lied constantly. I don't think she ever once told the actual truth. Like, as convincing as she makes it seem, she never actually told the truth at all to anyone. Oh my god. No pity for freaking Mion. No pity. I think so. I can't think of anywhere else he'd be. Mion started to sob. You weren't there when Satoshi-kun was killed, were you? No. If you were there, would you have begged the hag to forgive him? Yes. I would have begged her to let him live. Liar. Huh? You liar! That day, a year ago. Just recalled how cruel Mion was then. She forced me to rip out my nails, acting in her role as the successor. Even if she was there when Satoshi-kun was killed, she wouldn't have stopped being the successor. Satoshi-kun was brought to the torture room. When he saw Mion, I'm sure he thought she would save him. Even as he heard the family head read out his death sentence. I'm sure he looked at Mion and believed that she would save him. He believed Mion was acting that way only because she was with her relatives. He believed she would help him, but she didn't do anything. He was strapped to a restraining device, and yet she still wouldn't do anything. Mion was cruel. Mion? Isn't it about time to help me? I see. I get it. You're with the rest of the family members, so you can't show even a hint of compassion. That sucks. Who's hacking? Oh, it's Shion. Help him! Help him! Why? Why didn't you help him? You saw him looking at you, begging you to help him. And didn't you? Why didn't you help him? Even when he was going through a rough time because of his awful aunt, you didn't help him. You pretended to sympathize, but you didn't help him. You ignored him. He was cornered because you didn't help him. I tried to support him. Even when you didn't protect him from killing his aunt, I did. I sacrificed myself to fight for him. 3 nails were nothing. But it wasn't enough to rescue Satoshi-kun. I couldn't help him. You know why? Because I was Shion then. As Shion, I was kept away from Hinamizawa, and nobody told me anything. I couldn't know anything. But you were different. You were Mion. You were right in the middle of everything, and you knew everything, and everyone told you everything. If I were you, I would have helped Satoshi-kun. I would have. But you were Mion. Give it back, Mion. That name isn't just yours. It's mine too. Besides, it was mine to begin with, remember? I just let you be Mion, remember? It was mine. Give it back to me. Give me my name back. Can't stand that you even look like Mion. If I were Mion then. I kicked the bars. Kicked them again and again. Mion curled fearfully in the back of the cell, as if she was trying to prevent the bars from crashing down onto her. She's kinda right, though. She's kinda right. But I wonder if what she said is true. They actually, like, 100% switched when they were younger. So it's, like, actually true that the whole time she was actually the successor. But we have one tip to read, and that'll be it. 188. After that, I joined the youth group and searched for Kimiyoshi. Went down the town council's phone directory, called to see if he had visited, and then had the group split according to the circular notice divisions, and sent them to search the town. Everybody seemed to be assuming they wouldn't find him, since I knew they definitely never would. It was just bothersome to me. Even after midnight, they were all still enthusiastically looking for him. I bore the sleepiness while yawning. I heard somebody whisper, "Last year, we did the same thing when Satoshi Hojo-kun went missing." Youth group was looking for someone who would never be found, just like last year. I was yawning because I knew this. Last year, there must also have been some people who were yawning and grinning on the inside. When did we stop searching last year? Do you remember? When Satoshi Hojo-kun was missing? Oh, what time was it? Guess it was around midnight? It's already 2 in the morning. At least they spent this much time searching for Kimiyoshi. They didn't do the same when Satoshi-kun went missing. After all, some people knew they wouldn't find him. Must have been sleepy. Most have said they should leave it to the police. Shit. I want to kill the people who said that. She has such a murderous rage inside of her. Constantly. All the time. She was bound to freaking murder someone. Well, I guess I don't know if I should blame her upbringing for that, or if she's just born like that. Yeah, because, like, you know, with twins, it's like, oh, there's one evil twin and one good twin. But it's like, in this case, they're both pretty heckin' evil. they're both evil.
I guess the world is in black and white, huh?
It's black and white within black and white. Yeah. But it was fun. It was good. Good. 100% going to try my absolute hardest to make this weekly. No matter hecking what. Alright? The only interference would be work. But I'm gonna try. This is great. This is so good. I didn't really think Shion would be this insane. I watched the whole anime back then, and I didn't remember this at all. Because I freaking blocked it out or something. But, yeah. This is goodbye for now. Have a good night. Have a good day, wherever you are. Alright? And I'll see you next time. Bye-bye!